It is your Wednesday night sports delight, the platform sports talk show. I am your boy Smooth. Welcome out another Wednesday. We right here for you. Thanks for tuning in, everybody. I need everyone right now. Take some time, tick, 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 to go ahead and like, share the stream, spread the word, because we have another jam-packed show in store for you. Hope you all are having a incredible Wednesday. And hello to our favorite fan, the one and only Miss Williams. Hope everything is going well. Shouts out to Stanton. Shouts out to Bunny. Shouts out to Joe. If you can have everyone, if you don't mind, just say some prayers for the Bovacanti family, the household. Just pray for them. If you don't mind, give a nice little prayer emoji going on. Show them love. Joe will not be on this evening, but look forward to having her back next week. Once again, this is your Wednesday Night Sports Delight. Don't forget, when you go on YouTube, subscribe, click on that bell, because anytime we go live, you will be notified. So, before we get things rolling on this show, like I said, a whole lot to discuss. What an incredible weekend of sports that we had previously. I mean, it has been incredible, and we're going to break all that down. Got a few topics to discuss. May piss some people off, cause an uproar, but hey, that's what sports is, right? You can't have everything you want. Some things, some rules, may not be to your liking, but that's how it is in sports, and we're going to definitely dig into it. So once again, go ahead and hit that like, go ahead and share, spread the word. Let's get more and more people tuned in. Let's have a good time engaging with the peoples, because your show here, almost 5 years strong, y'all, consistently every Wednesday. And it's not possible without having support on people like you, and you over there. So before I even go any further, got to go ahead once again to my promotion. Next week, season 2, it's on and popping. Ladies' night, you already know what's happening. Sharita, the return of Bunny, Joe, and Annie. Every first Wednesday of the month, it goes down. Look forward to what they're going to bring in season 2 of Ladies Night. It's going to be dynamic. It's going to be incredible. I look forward to it. Ladies, if you're watching right now, go ahead and get ready and just prepare yourself for an incredible 2 hours next Wednesday as the ladies hold things down. And start in March, I can finally do the unveiling of the Man Cave, which goes down every last Wednesday of the month, starting in March. And I am proud to say that these guys here are going to definitely hold things down for sure. With that being said, bam, here is your panel for the Man Cave. You already know about Sadal. He's back for the Man Cave, along with Tbone Funk, my boy Richard Cash. If you don't know about him, there was an episode years back. He was on the show, did some segments, or he was on the whole show. Matter of fact, now think about it. And his viewpoint, his energy is just different. It's going to make you laugh, but he been coming with it. So Richard Cash is going to be on the show. Then, of course, if you remember BT, Brian Turner, him and Sharita held things down for us. The SummerSlam after show, did an incredible job. He'll explain more about himself coming up in March. But this guy here, he's a head coach at St. Mary's High School. He's a big WWE fan, big sports fan, very good guy. Look forward to it. Then, of course, got to have a Bovacanti hold things down. So Joe's husband, Brendan, is going to be on the panel. And this show will be hosted by none other than Stan. So I look forward to it. It's going to be incredible. It's going to be the best man cave experience you will ever go through. And when I say just seeing these guys, knowing how these guys are, The debates are going to be crazy. These guys do not hold back. They say what's on their mind, and they have great insight. They have great they're very opinionated, and I love it. I can't wait to see what these guys are going to bring to the table. Yours truly will be producing like I do for ladies' nights. I'll be behind the scenes, give the guys the opportunity to, just do their own thing and have fun with it. So I'm definitely excited for the man cave. And yes, Ms. Williams, looking forward to the start of season 2 of Ladies' Night. And trust me, I don't know what's going to happen until I get the show run in regards to what's going to be talking about the topics and everything. So, Ms. Williams, I'm just like you. I look forward to see these ladies hold things down and bring those topics. And what's up, Joe? Prayers up to you. She says, can't watch long, but want to stop by and say hey and have a great show. Thank you very much. Feel better, Joe. You already know you missed. Look forward to seeing you hopefully next week. Once again, prayers up to the Butler County household. Speaking of the man cave, because y'all thought, well, Smoooth by himself on the show. Well, like Stone Cold used to always say, this dude here, he's part of the man cave. And tonight she's going to be joining me throughout the whole show. Without any further ado, bring on my dude, Tbone Funk. Tbone, how you doing, man?
Man, I'm doing all right. How about you?
Man, can't complain. We're here for another Wednesday, an opportunity to discuss some sports. And, when Joe wasn't available, the first person I thought of, I'm like, let me see if he's available. And that was yourself, man. I know we had our conversations, in the past shows and how you bring your comments in. And it's like, if you got to make this as entertaining as possible. So who none other than to have the very opinionated Tbone on the Platform Sports Talk Show.
It's the only thing about it is that as you know, I've been checking in for the past, I don't know how long, but this is Joe's spot. Well, not this spot specifically, but you know what I mean? Like I'm like, hope I can do it justice today. You know what I mean? So get well, Joe. Hey, Ms. Williams.
There we go. So yes, folks, yours truly and Tbone for the next 2 hours of your life. You're going to thank us later, man. So for those who are watching for the first time who may not be familiar with who you are, Tbone, give them a little bit of a backstory of yourself.
Well, I am a proud alumni of Kentucky State. Oh, that microphone's in the way. Kentucky State University. I am a former professional wrestler. The background may kind of give that away. But, I wrestled around Florida and Georgia, some other areas as Tbone Funk. And, lately I've been trying to get on promoting my own shows. Did one show, a couple shows back in August last year, and we're looking forward to doing a few more things this year to add on and build on up. You know what I mean? So, we're just continuously working, trying to always find new ways to improve, trying to be like you.
Hey, that's what's up, man. Just keep on doing what you do and do it with passion and love, man. You do that, God, I keep telling people God sees and knows all, man. So just keep doing all the positive things, man. It's going to work out for you. And I was saying this on the show, the Super Show, how now you got into DJing. So how's that been going for you so far?
Whew, I told you about that situation that happened the other day. There's opportunities that are coming. Some things need to be negotiated a little bit, but I've done a couple gigs here and there, and trying to get some regular stuff. So we'll see what happens in the next month or so. That thing that I told you about, he pulled back on that thing that I told you
I bet. Hey, like they say, all money ain't good money. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Trying to lock you down. No. And then you wonder why so many artists are now, independent, trying to have their masters and stuff like that. Cause they ain't trying to go through certain situations, like that.
Yeah. Not to knock them, but I said, I'm not TLC. I'm not signing this.
Exactly. So You got to come correct or move on to the next. So once again, it's a pleasure having you on. Where can everybody find you at in regards to your promotion?
Well, please, anybody out there listening, it would be greatly appreciated if you went to YouTube and not right now, after the show, but go to YouTube to HBCW Wrestling. You'll find some of our matches from last year that are on there. And we have some other videos that might be coming out a little bit. This might be a little bit of a preview, what you see back here. So, we have some stuff coming out, and you can also find us on Facebook, HBCW Wrestling as well, Instagram as well. We look forward to hearing some feedback from people about the videos that we have out too.
Most definitely. And then when you saw this come up on your screen, man, about the man cave and the panel, what's your thoughts on this panel? What are you looking forward to?
What's the name of the guy that casts all the Real Housewives shows? What's his name? Andy Cohen?
Yeah.
You knew what you were doing. we already in the chat. The show ain't started yet. We already in the chat for several hours talking about subjects. So you know how it's going to be on the show. I look forward to it.
I'm telling you, man, it's going to be really electric. You're going to really see why it's the man cave. The guys are going to just talk they stuff, but it's not just being ignorant at all. It's all, very smart, educated conversations, because all the guys know. Exactly. And that's the beauty of the show. It's not about everybody agreeing on the same thing, because then what fun of a show would it be without having a little bit of, well, no, this or well, no, that, or I can't see your point here, whatever. So it's going to be a fun show. So everyone get ready for the Man Cave. Starts in March, every last Wednesday of the month. It goes down. Once again, the Man Cave starting in March. So before we get, also go ahead.
I was going to say, and I heard that you have a special guest coming up at some point. Now, I don't want to give away who that's going to be, but I heard you got a special guest coming up next month that I'm particularly interested in. So if there's an extra spot for
you will be on there. You will be on there. Trust me. I got you. Don't you worry. I already got plans. So it's
got to give a
dope.
teaser to the audience. You know what I mean? Got to let everybody know. There's some stuff coming up that they should be looking forward to.
Exactly. On the platform, Sports Talk Show, your Wednesday night Sports Delight. Once again, take this time out. Hit that like, hit that share, hit that follow, hit everything in relating to the platform, Sports Talk Show, your Wednesday night Sports Delight. So we can't go any further on this show without first showing love and our respects to the great Kobe Bryant. It was 2 years ago on this day that the Black Mamba passed away. Black Mamba forever. So now looking back, Tbone, where were you at the time when you heard about the passing of Kobe Bryant?
I feel like I may have been here in this room, because it was one of those things where, you see a headline, and there's been so many hoaxes and stuff where, cruel people out there go and say that something bad happened to somebody. So it's like, you're like, I don't know if I believe this or not. And then it's like, it's like everything starts to unravel, and it's like, oh, this really happened. And then the story just became worse and worse. Because at first, if I'm not mistaken, we only knew about him. And then the story got even worse after that. So,
right.
Yeah. How about you?
So I recall I was watching TV at my old spot. I can't recall what I was watching at that time, but I just started seeing reports coming in on my phone about a helicopter crash, and I'm like, whoa. And then all of a sudden I'm hearing Kobe Bryant. I'm like, I know this can't be real. Like, I know there has to be a hoax. You know how Twitter be, how social media be, whatever. You start seeing TMZ this, you start seeing CNN this. I'm like, wow, this can't be true. Then I sent a screenshot or something to to people, and even now it's still shocking. Like, man, he's not here no more, and it's just crazy. And I also want to go ahead and show love because it's not just like you said, not just him, but also I just see on the picture with him, his daughter Gianna. Want to also show our respects to the Altabellis, John, Carrie, and Alyssa. We have Christina Mauser, Sarah Chester, Payton Chester, and Aura Zobayan. All passed away helicopter accident January 26, 2020. But yes, so Miss Williams, it has been 2 years already. And then as you see here on the screen, she didn't believe the TMZ report. But like I said before, you see CNN over there and ESPN and all these other outlets, it's like, wow, it's really real. And then just seeing the effect, and you see it to this day, Tbone, that Kobe Bryant had on the NBA. Your thoughts on that?
Well, he was one of those personalities that really stuck out. His winning mentality. Just everything about him. He was one of those players that I'm not a person who actively watched basketball for a long period of time, but Kobe's one of those people who I knew, and I'd stop and see what he was doing every now and then. Of course, he took out the Orlando Magic in 2009, but he's one of those players where you couldn't help but respect everything that he could do, and he it was just so it was hard to deal with, especially for a lot of people, because he was one of those people that a lot of people had felt a connection to and just wanted to see do good things, and he was one of those people who outside the court was trying to do good things. So he had a lasting impact. It's going to be felt for a while.
Yeah, most definitely, man. And just to add on to that about the impact, I mean, you're seeing so many players, wearing his shoes all the time. People like to compare his game compared to how the game is being played now, and that Kobe, that Mamba mentality that could be lacking in nowadays basketball. But something that I want to go ahead and definitely highlight, and not saying that I needed it, but it's just a deeper appreciation, was that him being a girl dad. So me having a daughter is like a different emphasis, a different meaning. Like you cherish whether you have a son or a daughter. Just a kid in general. But because of me and baby girl, shouts out to Miracle, just a different appreciation. Because just imagine being in Kobe's shoes during that time frame, and I'm sure, Gigi was scared and Kobe was being the big superhero protector until the last seconds. But it just gives a whole nother appreciation for being a father and for what he did as a father, having his daughter doing so much, taking her to games, having her in sports, doing things that she wants to do. But like, you're gonna play basketball and that's it. If she wanted to do something, he was fully 100%, behind her. And then seeing what he was doing outside of basketball, you saw him get an Oscar, for his short story. He was already in the midst of just doing so many different projects. Not that he finally was away from the game of basketball, but it's kind of like you have a different appreciation of him, and it shouldn't have happened like this. But like, you get a whole different appreciation of Kobe Bryant, the man.
Well, and and again, everything she said as far as like the bigger picture stuff, that's absolutely true. I will say this too. One thing that Kobe kind of suffered for when he was an active player, even towards, when by the time he retired, he was kind of sandwiched in between two big eras.
Right.
Because you have the Jordan era before him, and then, Kobe comes right after that. That's when Showtime, Lakers, and everything were doing their thing. And then you have LeBron right after. Right. So in a way, even towards the end of his career, like, I don't think that he was appreciated in real time as much as he really should have been, because, like I said, you come between the other two people who were heavily featured and promoted by the NBA. Kobe, maybe because of that winning mentality, Kobe was going to find ways to win. So
Right.
he
Correct.
wasn't always he wasn't always in real time the most popular person because of his mentality of winning, right? But when you look back at it, you're like, man, this guy, he did everything he could, for the game, and then after he retired, he was doing bigger things afterwards. So I think that he'll be more appreciated, now, because he's gone, right? He's not coming back, and I think that that's going to make people really appreciate him more because they have more time to reflect on him than they would have, before then.
And something else is, like Miss Williams said, it came in at a young age, but it wasn't like he was phased or like he was intimidated. He's like, no, I'm Kobe Bryant. I'm about to show y'all why I'm in the league. He handled adversity like it was nothing. It fueled his fire, just like Michael Jordan. He wasn't scared of Shaq. When he was playing with Shaq during those incredible years with the Lakers. He wanted the best out of Shaq. He pushed Shaq to be better and like, hey, take care of yourself more so you can be on the court more and you can dominate more. We can win more championships. He just really used that fuel. If he had a bad game, he don't mind being talked about. He don't mind, saying being called out, should I say.
Mm-hmm.
That gives him that awareness that, I got to step up my game and help and do whatever's best for my team to win. Some people were mad about that, like you were saying before. He may have to be a ball hog at times, but when you had a whole supporting cast of scrubs, of course you got to shoot 100 shots in the game because you're still trying to win. It wasn't like, because I have this guy on this team and that guy who no one else knows their name, that I'm going to still just fall back and just sit back and only score 10 points and that's it. No, if I got to shoot more jumpers until somebody else step their game up, I'm going to do what I'm going to have to do. So he didn't care about what, the naysayers said,
Mm-hmm. I think that Kobe was one of those people that, you hear about of the extreme, like, man, this person's always doing stuff, but that person's also the one who's not going to ask you to do anything that they wouldn't be willing to do themselves. And they'll probably lap you while they're trying to get you to do it once. They'll probably have done it twice, been up since, 3 a.m. to get whatever they need to get done. So he was just one of those personalities that, he'll definitely continue to be missed.
Yeah. And you'll never hear that he was outworked.
Right.
Folks, forget about that, but you'll never hear that he was outworked. So he'll be the first person in the building, maybe 2 or 3 hours before you, and more than likely be the last guy out and still working on stuff. So it is still crazy that he's gone. But much love to his family, and thank you for the impact that you brought to the NBA and just to the world. So definitely shouts out. So now it's time to get into this topic, Tbone. Look forward to it. This past weekend was just incredible. Incredible. If you are a big NFL fan, you definitely got your money's worth and more. And that's the NFL playoffs. Just had the Divisional Round this past weekend. And Tbone, my guy, how do you feel about what all went down in football?
I mean, I'm happy. I don't know. There's some fans out there that might not be as happy as I am right now, but it was quite the weekend for a lot of teams out there. But who do you think probably had the biggest? Who do you think probably had the biggest win that weekend?
Oh boy, that is a great question. Who do I see had the biggest win? I will probably say the Bengals. I don't think no one saw the Bengals going into Tennessee and beating the Titans, more so because the Bengals' history in the past, being a team that haven't won a football game in 31 years prior to last week. And then going up there, King Henry came back. It was crazy pandemonium, but Joe Burrow came through and did his thing. So I feel like the biggest surprise to me were the Bengals.
See, it would be biased of me to say the 49ers.
Right,
But here's the thing. They always beat Aaron Rodgers in the playoffs. So who are we kidding? You know what I mean?
Exactly.
Like, that's not a surprise. I think I even said that last week. That bye wasn't going to help Aaron Rodgers. It was going to hurt him. I'd say it was probably the Rams probably had the biggest win. I mean, I say it's the biggest because they beat the champs. You know what I mean? Like, they beat the champs, so I'd give them the biggest win. The Bengals beating the Titans, maybe because I was in Kentucky for so long and I was forced to see Bengals and Titans and Browns games for so long. Those are not my favorite teams, although I expect the Bengals to go a little bit further. But I'd definitely say the Rams beating the Bucks was probably the biggest win, just because we expect the town to get knocked out.
And the reason why I didn't choose the Rams is because even though I said on the show last week that the Buccaneers were going to win because I didn't trust Stafford, but I felt that, and I said this last week, Stafford had that big monkey / gorilla off his back after winning his first game. And then the defense of the Rams, as you saw, caused a lot of havoc to Tom Brady. He was uneasy between Aaron Donald, Von Miller. Then, of course, you have Jalen Ramsey. That defense is like the kryptonite to a Tom Brady team. Even though the Buccaneers came back, but that was more so because of turnovers or, whatever with the Rams. But I'm not really as surprised that the Rams – maybe I'm surprised that the Rams lost the lead but still won the game because usually they have a pattern of losing the lead and then, boom, game over. It's like week 18 against your San Fran 49ers. But I was definitely I wasn't as surprised in regards to the Rams, but definitely the Bengals, even though I had them as my sleeper pick to go to the Super Bowl. But I was like, damn, wait a minute, I'm right.
I don't think that Stafford got the monkey off his back.
What?
I think he got the lion off his back. You know what I mean? He got the lion off his back.
Good one. I got you. Let's see. Ms. Williams said the same thing. I was basically saying when the Bucs came back in the second half, I thought Brady might pull it out, but the Rams managed to hold them off. Their defense is amazing. And then the Rams lost their focus. Yeah, they did. And matter of fact, we'll go ahead and break down this game now, the Rams and Buccaneers, while we at it.
Hey, Stafford going to be walking around L.A. as a tourist because he ain't never seen this before. He ain't never seen himself in the playoff. He's a tourist right now.
So, just going back in regards to Miss Williams' last comment about the Rams, the issue I have with Sean Payton is that there's times that he plays it too safe. When majority of the game, you want to be aggressive, you want to be high scoring, but then it gets that last 5 minutes of the fourth quarter, then you want to kind of be, a little bit you're trying to protect the lead instead of trying to add on. And the Rams had ample opportunities to add on to the lead, but then you want to go ahead and run a little dink and dunk plays here or run the guy here. You ran Cam Akers so much that he started fumbling the ball, 2 times that game? I mean, crucial turnovers. But I feel like at times Sean McVay, he gets too conservative and he doesn't go for the kill. And it almost cost the Rams the victory. But once again, Cooper Kupp, my God, he should be considered for MVP. I know he ain't going to get it, but he definitely should be considered because without what he did, Tbone, this guy, the Rams would not be nowhere close to where they are right now.
I heard he had a career season.
Oh yeah.
So, the thing about the getting towards the end, because I definitely remember how things were going. As the Bucs were coming back, but if you're facing Tom Brady in the playoffs, I'd be cautious too, because it's been seen that no matter what you do, there's always a way, somehow, some way, because that's what happened. Remember, the Falcons can tell you a story about that, because I don't know how they did it. And I remember looking, I was with my friend, and I was like, I saw the score first. And I was like, man, the Bucks aren't coming back. I can't remember what the score was at the time, but it was a lot of space. And then I looked and I said, how did they get the ball? How did this happen? How did y'all let this happen? And then they started coming back, and I'm like, there's just got to be no way. There's got to be no way that they can come back. And I kept thinking, I'm like, ooh, I'm about to be wrong. But, hey, be glad they pull it off. Don't worry about the mythology of how they did it, methodology, because as long as they've got that win, because you beat Tom Brady in the playoffs, that's rare.
Exactly, and especially with you being a Rams fan too, from all the history that Brady has put the Rams through in the past. And yes, Cooper Kupp is number 10, Miss Williams, and you're right, you cannot count Brady out. So the Rams definitely did their thing, and now they are back home for a home game against the San Fran 49ers. And speaking of which, Tbone, we know that's your team, and they own. I think it's safe to say how Pedro Martinez in baseball called the Yankees his daddies, so their daddy, whatever. I think you can probably say the San Fran 49ers are Aaron Rodgers' daddies.
Aaron Rodgers don't want none of the 49ers in the playoffs. That's just the way it is. I mean, it doesn't seem to matter who it is, when it is. The Kaepernick years beat them twice. The Garoppolo years beat them twice. And I don't think any of those games were home games for the 49ers, if I'm not mistaken. Maybe the last one before this. But I think that they roll up in the Green Bay and they say, where should we put our logo on the field?
Right.
Because, I mean, look, I can't. What was the final score? They kept Aaron Rodgers to a touchdown, right?
Right.
They kept him to a touchdown.
And that was the very first drive. That was the very first drive of the game.
Yeah. How often does that happen where Aaron Rodgers is kept to a touchdown? If I'm not mistaken, the Packers averaged like 28 points a game this season, and they kept them to a touchdown. That's the defense.
Let's see the score. Oh no, that's not it. That's the wrong week. Let me go back and see. Here we go. The score was 13-10.
13-10. Yeah, they kept them to a touchdown. They got a field goal, but look, again, we beat Aaron Rodgers. Now, even though they've done it 4 times now, I was still afraid the entire game. I'm not gonna lie. I'm not gonna lie.
And speaking of Aaron Rodgers, he said this the other day, that there were a ton of people tuning in, rooting against him or the Packers for one reason and one reason only. It's because of my vaccination status and them wanting to see us lose so they can pile on. My response to that is no. My thing is that he tried to make himself bigger than the game. And that's when people start to look differently towards him or wasn't trying to pull for him because he made himself try to be bigger than the game with how he chose his own organization in regards to, he didn't report the training camp, I think. Then he wanted to make sure the team signed a guy that he wanted, like he's the GM, like he's LeBron, like you always say, Tbone. Then even like in the playoff game, this past Saturday, he only targeted 2 guys really. Like it was kind of like he only wanted to do things his way and not do what's best for the team. Yes, we know Devontae Adams is that dude. Yes, we know the other wide receiver was productive, but you had other guys like almost one of the very last plays of the game where you had opportunity to maybe score a touchdown or advance the ball further. You're only looking at 2 guys. And not looking at another guy that's wide open that could have made more plays for you. So it's like you kind of made this about you, and people start seeing that for the guy that you are. And of course, some people outside of Green Bay is not going to want to support you.
Well, I really don't care about Aaron Rodgers' vaccination status. I'm
Right.
glad the rest of the team is vaccinated because they couldn't catch a thing. You know what I mean? So they couldn't catch nothing that day. So look, he's done what he's going to do with his brand, and we'll see what happens with that. We'll see if he can, get back in the good graces of the court of public opinion. But he's the only person I know that can make Tom Brady the baby face of the league as far as quarterbacks, where people are like, you know what, we don't want you to be the greatest of all time. Tom, come back over here. We'll bring it back in. So, but the thing about Aaron Rodgers, and I've said this about many players. Somebody brought up the statistic that the Packers have had the quote unquote greatest quarterback of their time for 30 consecutive years between Brett Favre and Aaron Rodgers. And they have 2 Super Bowl wins to show for it.
Right. And all this hoopla about playing in Green Bay at a certain time of the year, all that kind of stuff, you can go ahead and throw that out the window because Green Bay doesn't even play great at their own field in their own conditions in January themselves. And it's been shown over the last few years. San Fran won their years back. You know what happened with Tampa Bay last year. Then a couple days ago, San Fran again. Green Bay is not that, oh my God, it's about to be crazy. I can't play my game, my style of game. No, it's not a feared venue at any given time anymore. And especially when the home team ain't even playing like it. Like you think about those days of the steel curtain, during certain times of the year, you want to play out there in Pittsburgh, or you don't want to play the Ravens back in 2001 era and it was cold outside, whatever. You'd be like, oh, hell, let's just go ahead and forfeit now because we know we ain't going to have an opportunity. Or back when, when the Broncos, even during the Payton Manning years, you want to go to Denver and try to compete with that high-powered offense and try to catch your breath. You know what I'm saying? Like, stadiums and weather matter to certain teams. Right now, it's not a big factor anymore.
Hey, if they didn't believe it now, I bet they do believe in climate change. Because I mean, look, I was thinking that the other day. I'm like, the 49ers went up into Green Bay as cold as it may have been up there. I don't think it was as cold as it used to be, back in the day, the frozen tundra as they used to call it, but it was pointed out. I'm like, well, the next teams that they could possibly face are both warm weather teams, so that only benefits the 49ers even more. So, look, if there's any reason why I think the 49ers are going to the Super Bowl, that's it. They went up to the cold, they won in the cold. Now they go into a climate controlled environment in LA. Yeah, we'll talk about that, I think, at some point.
Yes, we will. And see, Ms. Williams says maybe teams are preparing better for adverse weather than exactly. I mean, so much technology out there in regards to wearing the right clothing, having a certain ball or whatever it is. So it's not 1975 no more. People know how to now adjust. I mean, hell, even before the game, you be seeing guys without any shirts on running up and down the field like it's like they in Miami. So people are, the adjustments is there in regards to weather conditions. So it is what it is now. Going back to the bracket, Tennessee and the Bengals once again. Titans had King Henry, Joe Burrow for the Bengals doing his thing. I think it was maybe after 1 or 2 possessions, then Burrow's got his groove in. But Tannehill, he was another quarterback that didn't really do a great job in leading the troops. Had a conversation with one of my church members this past Sunday, and we talked about how you have certain guys, Tbone, certain quarterbacks that they win games because of what happened outside of what they did. Then you have guys who win games, like the Tom Brady. They win games for you. And Tannehill, He didn't do that. He had a couple. I think the first throw he threw last Saturday was an interception, and then one of the last throws he had was an interception. It doesn't look like to me Tannehill is that answer in Tennessee. What's your thoughts on that?
I mean, I think Tannehill is probably better than you're giving him credit for. I mean, because when he was in Miami, his biggest problem was that was the division that Tom Brady was in.
Right.
Like nobody else was going to win that division. And, you can expect maybe they weren't going to get swept by the Patriots every year, but I think they got swept by the Patriots every year. So it was going to hurt their chances of wild card because I know, especially during the years he was there, the AFC wild card was way more competitive than like the NFC, right? So, I think that probably what hurt him there. And then, I think they had some coaching changes and stuff while he was there too. So he comes over to Tennessee now. Did he have a stop before that? I can't remember off the top of my head.
No, went from Miami right over to Tennessee.
Yeah, and in Tennessee he has a chance. He's going further. Again, he's almost like Matthew Stafford. He's going places he ain't never seen. He was probably off too busy taking some tourist stops because he's like, I don't think I've ever been here before. But I think that because he's not too terribly old. What is he? Probably 33, 34, something like that.
Let's find out.
I think
Tannehill is 33 years old.
Yeah. So, I mean, I think that, he probably is one of those people who, again, like Alex Smith, Alex Smith didn't really, get into what Alex Smith could do until he was probably pretty much around that age. So I think that Tannehill might be one of those people to look out for. Everybody's going for the super athletic, quarterback that has, the running ability and everything like that. And that's going to work for a lot of teams. But, he might be one of those people that might be the exception for the competitive quarterbacks in the next couple years at least.
I know one thing, man. He better bring it, man, because he looked pretty down and out after that game, which, of course, number one seed in the AFC and couldn't even win one game. So we shall see. But once again, Joe Burrow, amazing young man. And I just read recently on Twitter that he is going to be, if I can find it real quick, he's going to make NFL history. He will become the first quarterback drafted number one overall to start a conference championship game within the first two seasons. So that's pretty awesome. But he just has so much confidence and swag. It's like he's been in the league for like 5-6 years and not, his second year.
It seems like Elway would have had that, but I guess I'm wrong.
And the Bengals, I mean, the offense is loaded. But the biggest issue, if you saw the game.
Oh, I did.
And that's the offensive line. He got sacked 9 times. You cannot do that against the Chiefs. Because we all saw what happened, and we're going to get to it next. Because this game here, my goodness. But yes, you cannot get sacked 9 times and expect to win against the Chiefs, which they had an incredible game against the Buffalo Bills. And before we break this down, on the bottom of the ticker, you see was the divisional round weekend of football, the best football weekend ever. What's your thoughts on that?
I don't like to jump and say yes to something like that. I'd have to go back and the divisional round is rarely remembered anyway, so it's kind of hard to think back. But I'm sure there had to be some years where it was like, oh, I can't believe this or that happened. So I'm going to go with no out of caution on that one.
I mean, 3 out of 4 games. I think each game-winning field goal out those 3 out of 4 games were like 4 seconds remaining, and once again, game-winning field goals. The road teams won those games, except for, of course, the Chiefs game. But to me, I can't think. Of course, you have a long history of, of course, football. So much has happened. But in regards to what we saw this past weekend, I may be a prisoner of the moment. Well, you might as well go ahead and lock me in jail because When I say that was just an amazing weekend, every game, wifey and I, we was like, whoa, okay, this is crazy. Just the emotion. So I definitely enjoyed it. And for the fans who love sports, who love football, man, that was definitely for you. So now, going back to the bracket, Chiefs and the Bills, and that game, we saw Josh Allen show up. We saw, of course, Mahomes show up. Then, hey, the first 60 minutes, overtime. It was just so amazing that drive, Tbone, the last 2 or 3 minutes of the game, in which Chiefs scored. Tyreek Hill giving the hey, peace, deuces, and then here comes the Bills doing their thing. Then boom, here come the Eagles. It's like this back and forth, like woo, 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 woo. So with that being said, do you feel because of the opponent, because of Pat Mahomes, do you feel that the Buffalo Bills should take a different approach in regards to that very last kickoff and not give Mahomes? Yes, we know it was 13 seconds, but it's still 13 seconds. It's still Patrick Mahomes. Do you feel that the Bills should have did something different to maybe have more time run out the clock?
You think the last one? I think it was the time before that they had the ball. Because I was talking with some people while the game was going on. I'm like, yeah, y'all gonna give Patrick Mahomes, what was it, like a minute and something left the first time that they scored, it was like a minute and something left. And I'm like, y'all gonna give him this much time? And then of course the Chiefs score. And then, the Bills come back and it's like, oh man, the Bills came back. And like you said, like 13 seconds or something like that left. And I was like, y'all gonna give Patrick Mahomes the ball back with that much time? Like, you could see how that one was going. If you've watched the Chiefs with Patrick Mahomes, or if you've seen any, I put Patrick Mahomes in that category of like a Brady or a Peyton Manning, a Drew Brees, that type person, where it's like, don't give him the ball back, because if you give him the ball back, they will make you pay for it, and they made him pay for it.
Yep, and that's what happened. But like I said, the first 60 minutes was incredible, and I want to highlight the first 60 minutes because, of course, in overtime, the Chiefs won the coin toss, and of course they decided to go ahead and go for it and have the possession, and then the touchdown, Mahomes to Kelsey. But of course, a lot of people are talking about how Josh Allen and how the Bills didn't get the opportunity to have the ball. And that's where our conversation happened in the chat, in which I was doing more of conversating than working. But it was worth it because it was just a great conversation to have in regards to just, once again, getting people's opinions and thoughts and mindset, the whole nine. But, of course, the topic is all around the world is the way how overtime is being handled. What are your thoughts in regards to the overtime rules? Do you feel there needs to be some changes? What's your opinion on that?
I think this is one of those prisoner in the moment type things because, do you remember the last time that this conversation came up in the playoffs? Do you remember who was on the losing end of that?
The Chiefs.
It was Patrick Mahomes. I believe it was his first playoff year against Tom Brady. Again, same conversation here. Yes. But it's like, yeah, that's what's going to happen. And it's up to the defense to do what they're supposed to do because they know that's what's supposed to happen. At some point, the defense has to stop somebody at some point, right?
Got to.
I don't understand why it's like, oh, well, we should have given them a shot. But okay, but at some point, if your defense gives up a touchdown or afterwards a field goal, the game is over, right? At some point, it's up to the defense to do their job. It just so happens the defense was first instead of the offense. Defense didn't do their job. That's all it comes down to. You structure this. You know the scenarios. You know what's going on. You know who you're facing. Don't let them get a touchdown. Let them get a field goal. Don't let them get a touchdown.
Yep. And for those watching, please feel free. Bring them comments. Let us know your thoughts. We want to get your input on it as well. And that's why I emphasized this before. And as you just said, you know the rules. It ain't gonna change as of now, but you know the rules. Overtime. You know how they always say, what they always say in sports when it's overtime, it's a free game or free whatever. Uh, Anything can happen in overtime. That's why it's overtime. Anything is possible. You know that. That's why your focus is the 60 minutes. You should not be playing for overtime. You need to, of course, now if you're down by 7 points, that's different, of course, but the mindset, I don't think no one's mindset is we're going to play to get to overtime. No, you want to avoid that because of what happened to the Chiefs back in that year that you were talking about and what happened this past weekend to the Buffalo Bills. The focus needs to be on what are you doing for those 60 minutes. Where is that energy at in those first 60 minutes? So with that being said, because people say they still like college rules, whatever in regards to the OT. My issue with that is, as great as it sounds, it's super gimmicky, and it could further have the game last. A game of football usually 3 hours. If you have these 18 overtimes because the team can't stop nobody, players are going to be worn out. Of course, being worn out, you're going to have wear and tear on the body. Then what happens if, exactly, in the playoffs, what happens if Pat Mahomes or Josh Allen or whoever else, gets hurt because of the constant pressure they're putting themselves in trying to win a game in football? It's going to prolong the game. And, of course, the NFL is big in regards to player safety already. So why would they want to even take that kind of route? I don't see a perfect scenario in regards to overtime because it's going to always be someone saying, oh, well, they should have did this or they should have did that. My thing is, it's overtime. And Ms. Williams, yes, the rules change from regular season to the postseason because in the regular season, you can have a tie. That's just the regular season. But in postseason, of course, you have to have someone to score, and the most points wins the game. So with that being said, I'm gonna say it now, and people ain't gonna like it. Yeah, but it is. But I'm perfectly fine with how the OT rules are set up right now. Because once again, you don't play for OT. You play to win like Herman Edwards said, you play to win the game, but also within that first 60 minutes. That's where the focus should be at. So I personally had no problem with the overtime rules. Of course, like you said before, Tbone, person of the moment. It's going to be a hot button topic. It's going to be in the CBA or it's going to be a talking in the league. They may change it next year if they do, whatever. But I'm perfectly fine with how everything is. I do understand people's concern about OT and how both teams should have the ball, whatever. But the same token, if you avoid going to overtime, you wouldn't have gotten to this spot in the first place.
Right. Was there any play in the game to which they could have said to themselves, this is where this could have been different. We could have kicked this field goal and got it here. This could have happened there. Something could have happened differently to stop them from doing it. By the way, I've heard about people saying that they like the college rules. Now, again, I haven't watched college football in a few years, but my first year at Kentucky State University in the band. Yeah, I was in the band, not the football team, but in the band. We came here for the Gateway Classic, and we were in the stadium. First Gateway Classic, but that means that I'm back in St. Louis. I'm home for the weekend. I'm ready to leave and go do other things. First football game here, and we're facing UAPB at the Dome, and the game goes into overtime. It's like, oh, okay, I want my team to win. I want them to win. And then it goes in another overtime. I'm like, I'm ready to go. I've been, we've been on the bus. We've been practicing. We go to the thing. We did the parade that morning. We do all these different things. Go eat. We go to the game. We're in the stadium. All right, we do our field show. We're watching the second half of the game, cheering our team on. Goes into overtime. All right, get into second overtime. I'm ready to go. I got things to do. I'm sorry. I wanted the game to be over. I'm not saying I wanted my team to lose, but I'm saying that in that scenario, if they lost, it's
okay, we'll be all right.
But yeah, I mean, look, you know what the rules are in every sport. There's rules for whatever happens in different scenarios, right? Like, I mean, imagine if this would have been in the 80s or what is it, up to the mid 90s, when it was just, look, whoever scores anything is over, right? If they would have kicked the field goal, it would have been over. It would have really been some people mad then. Like, all the defense had to do was stop them from getting a touchdown. That's it. They could have given away a field goal. They have something that they could give away in that scenario. So it's not like they don't have any options. It's not like, oh man, if they score on this, it's over. All you gotta do is stop them from scoring a touchdown, which they had done in many drives, except for probably the last few. And even though the last in regulation, it was a field goal that brought them to wasn't it a field goal that got them into overtime in the first place that the Chiefs got? So it's not like they couldn't stop them from getting a touchdown before. So the defense gave up a touchdown. The defense gets paid too.
Exactly. And as I was saying too, let's say if the Chiefs once again won the coin toss, going down the field looking good, all of a sudden a fumble, a botched snap or a fumble or interception and a return touchdown happened by the Bills, game over. You won't hear nobody complaining about Josh Allen didn't have the ball or the offense wasn't on the field. I think that it happened years back. God, I want to say that was like Seattle versus Green Bay, and somebody from Seattle was talking stuff, doing the coin toss, like we gonna win. And then I think Hasselbeck threw an interception to Green Bay, and a dude ran it back for a touchdown to win the game in the playoffs. I think something like that happened. That's it. So you ain't gonna hear, oh man, I'm still mad because so and so didn't get to have the ball and throw the ball around. No, your team won, y'all good. So
or think about this. Think about this one too. You go to kick off the ball. They fumble on the kickoff. And it gets returned for a touchdown. Right. Like anything, or if they were so concerned with Patrick Mahomes getting the ball, you could have tried for an onside kick. They could have tried. It's not like there's no options of anything to do. I don't think they would have been expecting an onside kick. They probably would have been, preparing for anything, but there's options to do anything. If you're concerned about, look, he's going to get the ball, and you don't want him to get the ball, do whatever you can do to stop him from getting the ball. And I pointed this out, even with my team. I don't think that my team would have elected to get the ball first if it would have been my team, because it would have been in our better interest to get the ball second, to where a field goal would end the game to begin with.
Field position.
Yeah. Get the field position, kick a field goal, get out of there, go home. So, and
it's like, it makes sense for the Chiefs to want to receive the ball first because of their offense. But if you're thinking about a team like the Ravens, 2001 Ravens, more than likely they're going to do what? Choose defense, because they're confident that they're going to stop you from either not even a touchdown, probably not even get a field goal, because they're so confident in their team. If you're the Rams, what you're going to do? More than likely ask for the ball. Buccaneers ask for the ball, because they know their team. So of course the Chiefs will choose, I want the ball first. Duh. Because they know how to score.
And I brought it up in the chat because it was brought up that nobody would ever do such a thing. No team would ever ask to be on defense. And I pull up the article. Bill Belichick asked for his team to be on defense in overtime. It didn't work out for him that time, I don't think, but he did it. It's been done.
Right.
And going back to the chat, I know that for all you all watching out there, you all don't know what was in this chat, but just one of the arguments that was brought up in it. look, you can't really compare baseball and football in this scenario because you cannot score on defense in baseball. You can prevent the offense from scoring. You cannot score. It's not like somebody could hit the ball out into midfield, they catch the ball, and then they start running on the bases to score. You can't do that. So
Right.
it's a completely different scenario with baseball because baseball is more it's you're either on offense or your defense. Football is more fluid in that the defense can become the offense at any point on the field. If anything, sun goes down and that ball's loose, any of them can pick it up and run with it, or any of them can knock the ball out so that they can take it and go. So it's just a different scenario. The defense is an active participant.
And I want to answer this question. So, Ms. Williams asked, no matter what it is, let's see, for the playoffs, the first score, no matter what it is, wins. No, that's incorrect. So let's say we're the Chiefs and we kick a field goal. You get 3 points. The Bills get an opportunity, and it's the same thing in the regular season. The Bills get the opportunity to now have the ball. And if they score a touchdown, they win the game. If they score 3 points, the Chiefs get the ball back again.
Yeah, you either match it or pass it.
Right. So the big difference between the regular season and the playoffs, as I was stating before, is that regular season, I believe the time is 15 minutes in overtime. Correct, Tbone?
I'm not sure of the time.
15 or 10 minutes. I can't recall.
Yeah.
But whatever it is, if the time is still at zero, if the time goes to zero and the score is tied, regular season, game ends in the tie. Postseason, keep going again.
Which I'm okay with ties in the regular season. I am.
Yeah.
I'd like to see games in entire. Well, it's not that I like it, but there's a unique factor to it, So, it changes how the scoring works for the or for the season, right? You got that one over there in that extra column. That one can make a difference for somebody.
It sure can.
Yeah, so it's basically a half game for you. So it can either work for you or it can work against you.
Yep. So once again, very exciting divisional round of football right there. Miss Williams, I think the happiest person in the NFL is a defensive back who scored a TD. Yep. definitely happy. So let's go back to the bracket. So as you see, coming up Sunday, the first game will be Chiefs and the Bengals. Second game will be Rams and 49ers. The Chiefs will be at home. The Rams will be at home somewhat. In regards to this Chiefs and Bengals matchup, I already said it before, Tbone. If the O-line has Burrows on his back, it's going to be a problem. Do you see the magic running out for the Bengals?
I mean, that's an interesting one.
It is.
Because naturally you go with the Chiefs, right? Normally you go with the Chiefs and say, look, the Chiefs have been here, they've done that, they know what to do to get the victory. The Bengals are trying to prove everybody wrong right now.
Right.
And they've done a pretty good job doing it so far. But man, if I had to this game right here, because part of me wants to see both teams. You know what I mean? Like part of me wants to see the Bengals make it because then we have a nice trilogy here. We can talk about that in a second. You get the Chiefs, you get a rematch. So these are teams that either way, I mean, there's a story that could be told with either one of these games. But I'm rooting for the Bengals. You could say that somewhat selfishly on my part, but I'm rooting for the Bengals.
Yeah, I feel like the magic will run out for the Bengals, and the Chiefs will go ahead and prevail. I just feel like the Chiefs are too high-powered. Tyrann Mathieu, Honey Badger, he will be back for the game on defense, so that'll be a huge boost. but I just truly feel, and I hope that it's an incredible game. I'm not sure if it'll match what happened last week, but I just feel like the Titans were like the perfect matchup for the Bengals because they weren't like that really big, high-powered together offense because they had so many injuries, so they were in sync. But the Chiefs, that team is in sync, and the offensive line for the Bengals cannot have a game like they had last week, or they will be blown out the water by the Chiefs. So I'm going to say the Chiefs are going to the Super Bowl again. Now, for the West, I mean, sorry, might as well say the West, but for the NFC,
Part 3,
I already know because of your love. But outside of a biased opinion, what are your thoughts in regards to the keys of the game for this Rams and San Fran game?
Jimmy G has to perform. If the 49ers are going to win, Jimmy G has to perform. The defense is going to do their part. I'm not worried about the defense taking on, Matthew Stafford. I don't think that things are going to go too well for Matthew Stafford against the 49ers defense. The Rams, I mean, if what's his name? Cooper Kupp, if he has a if he can, do his thing and break out, I mean that's going to work for the Rams. I mean, it's not like the Rams don't have anything. Obviously, they're in a better position than we were in the playoffs for a reason. But I don't see things working out too well because it's not like they have a home field advantage for real. Unlike the Chiefs, because don't the Chiefs have the loudest stadium in the league right now? It's not like the Seahawks have not like the Seahawks have anything to cheer about right now. So it would be the Chiefs.
Yep. Well, the third time will not be the charm for San Fran. I'm going to go ahead and say the Rams. I feel like Matthew Stafford over the last 2 weeks got the monkey off his back, and then not single-handedly, but you could say that a team with him as a quarterback defeated Tom Brady, and that's like a huge mentally huge boost in confidence with the whole team. Von Miller is coming to his own. He's back, should I say, coming to his own. We know about AD. I said about Ramsey. Other guys, I think Taylor Rapp, he's a safety for the Rams. He'll be back. I really feel like this Rams team is going to do some things this Sunday against San Fran. I feel like that's going to be probably a similar game to how the Chiefs and the Buffalo Bills were. I don't expect it to be like a, dog fight kind of thing where it's, 10-7 or 13-10. I feel it'll be some scoring. Deebo Samuels, as long as he remains healthy, I feel he's going to make a big impact on that game. It's going to be close, but I feel like the Rams will find a way. They will not allow your team to win 7 consecutive games in a row against the Rams.
if there is an advantage to be had for the Rams, is that it is familiar for them to face the 49ers. Mm-hmm. The results have not been in their favor, but they have seen what's going to happen. They've seen the team. So they have the firsthand knowledge of what the team can do.
Right.
But I do have a question. Do you feel that the Rams would have won that game against Tampa Bay if it would have been in LA?
I'm going to say, oh man, you know what? I'm going to say no, because I think it was a blessing for them not to have that home game against Tampa Bay.
Getting embarrassed by their
even though they did beat them in week 4 and in LA, but still, I felt like playing at Tampa Bay, first they were glad as hell that they didn't have to go to Green Bay because they were lost in Green Bay. That Rams team with a loss in Green Bay because Stafford, whatever. I think they were just so elated that they were able to go to a Sunshine State and play a game and face off against Tampa Bay, in which they knew the matchup, the D line versus Tampa Bay's O line. They knew that they can attack Tom Brady and that scheme. So going back to the San Fran Rams game, 3 times in the same season, Sean McVay should by now. He should by now. I ain't talking about 6 over 3 years. I'm talking about 3 games now in the same season. There should be a better game plan to defeat San Fran. I look forward to it though. I'm pretty sure that it's gonna be a pro Niners crowd over the Rams
crowd, right?
Yeah.
3 weeks ago, it was a 49ers crowd at their own stadium, and now it's real expectations because we in the playoffs. So we'll see. It'll be an interesting game.
Yeah. So staying with the Rams real quick. So there was an article that came out the other day from the LA Times. A writer that goes by the name of Dylan Hernandez. He put out in his article basically saying that the reason why, and for those who are not aware, ever since that San Fran game, when Matthew Stafford's wife and other people are saying how it was just so crazy how there were so many more away fans that was showing up to the Rams games more than the Rams home fans. So now over the last few weeks, until it got stopped recently, which was a good thing, but the Rams have been promoting don't sell your tickets to opponent teams' fans and only do it within a certain region. So if your zip code is in LA, you're good to go. If you go to Ticketmaster.com or go to whatever and get tickets. But if you are in the San Fran or a different region, then you may get blocked basically from purchasing tickets, which is so stupid and so childish anyway. But once again, that got blocked, thank God. But you have Sean McVay out there saying, let's make sure you don't sell these tickets to San Fran fans. You got whoever, Matthew Stafford's wife or whoever else on Twitter. They should, make sure y'all don't sell tickets to the San Fran fans.
They probably said it about them too.
Yeah, it's just crazy. So this article here saying that the reason why Rams fans in LA haven't been able to really take over and have that full capacity of Rams fans more than having opponents' teams coming in taking over. He says this in an article. He says that this is not damage that can be repaired in 6 years. That's how long the Rams now been in LA. Something like this is bound to unfold every now and then until there's a generation of Angelonis that views the Rams as LA's team and LA's team only, rather than a refugee from a dump of a city in the Midwest, talking about St. Louis. So all of a sudden, St. Louis is a dump of a city, and we're the reason why, there you go, sip on that Emo's cup. St. Louis is the reason why fans have not embraced the Rams in LA like they do in Green Bay or like they do in San Fran, like they do in Pittsburgh, like they do in Dallas. So us, a franchise who had to endure what we had to go through after 2002 of all those losing seasons, and still was there at Rams games more than Rams fans were in LA at the old Coliseum before they moved to the current SoFi Stadium. Rear the dump, really? And then it was like a recent report that was put out there how they're doing like a street sweep around the area, trying to get rid of all the homeless people around the LA area to get ready for the Super Bowl. but we're the dump. We're the blame.
Well, you finally found a way for me to defend anything involving the Rams. I tell you. Look, it's people like that makes me want to come back to say, I don't know if I had told you, I've been planning or taking some tests to further my education in a certain field. And St. Louis is one of those places I've been considering. So before people want to start calling St. Louis a dump, I mean, these are people who probably never been outside their own zip code talking about St. Louis as a dump. I mean, maybe, just a guess, because I've been to LA, maybe there's a lot of competition out in LA. Maybe it wasn't such a great idea for the NFL to let two teams come to LA in such a quick time, because
bingo,
you're going to split your fan base. It's not like one was there and they were like, man, we can't get seats to this game. So you know what? Let's bring another team in to fill the void. No, just because there's a lot of people there doesn't mean that they're going to enjoy your sports teams. People have seen the Rams come and go. I mean, they don't know if they're staying. And again, this is why when I was a child, I was not a Rams fan, because it's like, y'all here now. What's that mean? I mean, y'all weren't here when, again, that's why I was a 49ers fan. I liked the 49ers since I was in third grade. Bought that San Francisco 49ers hat at Ventures. That's right, Ventures. I went to Ventures and I bought that the San Francisco 49ers hat that had Taz on the side of it. Somebody broke that hat in third grade. Thanks a lot, James. And I actually
call him out.
Wound up getting a replacement. But anyway, ever since that point, I was a 49ers fan. And then the Rams came in the 95 season, which, I would have been happier getting either the Panthers or the Jaguars, those St. Louis Stallions that they were talking about back in the day. But, if you don't know that a team's going to be there, you're not going to invest in that team. You might be happy to see some good stuff happening. But another thing is that these days, and they pointed this out several years ago, which is why they're trying to do different things for the league, which is why they're not going to increase that overtime time, because they're trying to make these games something that people can enjoy going out to. The viewership, the experience of watching a game at home is less of a hassle than going out to a stadium.
Right.
And you get more views, you get more, you don't have to deal with anything. If Purple Stallions was a really bad name, were they going to be a Purple Stallions? I don't think it was purple, was it?
Yeah, I don't think it was purple. I think it was just going to be like, I think it was going to be like the St. Louis Stallions or something like that.
Yeah, it was the St. Louis Stallions. I remember when they were talking about that, when they were, proposing the expansion teams, and I remember watching that live. It was like, and the first team, the Carolina Panthers. What, the Carolina?
What?
Okay, all right. Well, I guess we won't be first. And the next team, all right, here we go. St. Louis Stallions. They done drawn up the song and everything. The Jacksonville Jaguars. The Jacksonville.
Right.
Anyway, but I wouldn't call LA a dump. I'm also not going, or I wouldn't call St. Louis a dump. I'm not going to talk about the good folks of LA, because there's people I work with out there. So, but I mean, there's a lot of stuff to do in LA, and LA is a pretty big region that encompasses, and pretty good weather. There's always things to do out there, and not to say that the fans out there aren't appreciative, but they got like 50 sports teams out there. So yeah, it's not hard to find that maybe they're not invested in the Rams. Maybe if the Rams would have stayed there, maybe they would have been invested, but there was a reason why the Rams left in the first place.
Exactly. And the reason why they left St. Louis was because of St. Louis, was because of the owner. Everyone knows that, because he knew what he wanted to do from the get-go. When Georgia Frontier died, he always wanted to have the Rams back in LA because he knew there was a bigger market. It was all about the money. We all know that. And then with that being said, you have a stadium that's been open for what 2 years now, and I said this on the show, excuse me, last week, but they already having sewage problems already. The freaking dome here in St. Louis hasn't had one sewage problem where a whole section of a stadium was smelling sewage in 25 years. But in 2 years, you already have a sewage problem, and you're supposed to have the freaking Super Bowl in 3 weeks. Now, of course, they probably will get that fixed. They'll be a fool not to, but damn, and from what I'm hearing, the food ain't that good out there either in the stadium.
And this is the part where I'm going to transport myself back into St. Louis. And our dome really gets a bad rap. It was our dome out there. It was just built at a bad time. It's not bad for what it was. It was just built at a bad time. It was built right. I think I brought this up on the show a couple years ago. That's the Dwight Howard of domes. It was great for what it was
that moment, right.
In that moment, and then everything changed, and then people were like, "Yeah, that dome,
it's so old looking. Yeah, it's old fashioned." Yeah, because like you said at first, when it was first built, it was like, wow, this is like off. Of course, he still had the Cowboy Stadium, whatever, but it was like, wow, this is what's up. But then all of a sudden, what happened? Indianapolis,
retractable roofs.
Houston,
everybody upgraded their old domes. After it was like Houston, that was the one. That was the first one because when they got rid of the Astrodome and they moved into the new dome stadium that they're at now. And it seemed like domes stopped even being in favor. It was, forget domes. We got retractable roof stadiums with everything. You switch to baseball. They got aquariums in stadiums now. So I think that the dome just gets a bad rap because it's like it was not built that long ago.
Right. Yeah, but like you said, all these other stadiums had better ideas because it was the sound of times.
Technology.
Yeah. So for that reporter, man, he must have been on some serious ooh-wee to Dylan Hernandez. And I really hope he gets all the backlash that he deserves because he was definitely wrong for that piece of crap.
Well, they're gonna make St. Louis the villain, which, because of course it's not gonna be LA's fault. And they're not gonna put it on LA. They're gonna say, it's that dump of a city. Come on, man. Come on.
I will say this, and whoever's watching, you can retweet it, whatever you want to do, edit it, whatever you want to do. But the only dump I see was the dump that his mom let out when he was born.
It's been said.
So, Miss Williams says, so why is the Rams dome in such a bad shape after 2 years? Kroenke doing things on the cheap end. I mean, once again, he did not want to rehab or refurbish or make things better in St. Louis. He wanted to find any way possible to find a way for the league to say, no, this stadium is not up to par. It does not meet standards so the team can stay in St. Louis. He knew exactly what he was doing. That's the reason why he kept Jeff Fisher. That's the reason why we never had any big-time players, free agents, come into the team because he knew then they'll start winning. And if we start winning, why would the league even consider not having the Rams there? So he knew exactly what he was doing. Her name is Williams. I mean the LA Stadium for the Rams. Yeah, that's a question you have to ask Kroenke. My answer can always be karma because it's always how you treated, how you did things. And now all of a sudden, little small things are starting to pile up. I mean, hell, even the process of them building the stadium, he was always told, do not have that stadium in that location because of the airport being right next to it and how it could be such a hazardous area to do this and do that. So it's been a whole lot of issues with that stadium already. Now, granted, it is a beautiful looking stadium. I flew over it a few months back when I was in Las Vegas for getting married in September. I flew over LA, great looking stadium. but a lot of issues going on, inside the stadium. So,
hey, one real quick thing to illustrate, why a fan base doesn't really gravitate towards something real quick. It should be pointed out. I was at the L House over here watching one of the games with one of our friends, and we were talking, and I mentioned the Cardinals, right? I was talking about the Cardinals for something, but we were talking about football, and I mentioned the Cardinals, and he thought when I was talking about St. Louis, he thought I was talking about those Cardinals. I was like, no, I said the Cardinals left here in like 87, the football Cardinals. And he was like, those Cardinals were in St. Louis? I'm like, yeah. Said they left. So I'm like, imagine if the Arizona Cardinals relocated back to St. Louis, right? No fan is going to be attached to them as far as like, oh, the Cardinals are back. It's going to be like, wow, the Cardinals? I don't know about the Cardinals. They've been in the same division. We've been facing them. Those people are not attached to that team that left in 87 when most average fans at this point weren't even born, right? So, yeah, I mean, the Rams left LA in the 94 season to come here in 95. Like, those fans aren't attached to them. They'd probably be closer to the Chargers in reality.
Right, exactly. Yeah, so NFL, I would 95% say that they do not want to inherit another team. They want a team from the ground up. And if that was like one of the initial talkings of the deal before that deal broke, before New Year's Eve with the whole $780 million deal, whatever. If that was something that was in the talks, I would have supported that from the ground up, have our own thing, and then boom. But obviously, it wasn't.
I don't know why that wasn't a thing, because every team in recent, I say recent, but over the, let's call it past 20, 25 years, that had a team leave was promised another team, at some point. When the Oilers went to Tennessee, the Texans were promised to them. That was a team that was promised to come back. When the Browns left Cleveland, the Browns were when the Browns left, they already knew they were getting another team. The Browns, I don't know if they knew it was going to be the Browns were coming back, but they knew that team was going to be coming back to them. And it was just going to be a few years, but they knew it was coming.
Yep, that's true. So yeah, once again, the NFL just doesn't like St. Louis, and Kroenke doesn't like his own hometown, and that's why things are going on right now as it is. It's just the karma. That's why I'm surprised that the Rams won this past Sunday and how they won. I thought, well, wait a minute, here we go. There's that karma coming around, but the Rams still won, and then once again I have them going to the Super Bowl. So once again, you have San Fran versus the Bengals. I have the Chiefs versus the Rams.
Oh, I said I'm rooting for the Bengals.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry. So with that being said, who's going to the Super Bowl?
I'm predicting you're gonna get the rematch between the Chiefs and the 49ers. Now I'm gonna be rooting for the Bengals, but it ain't looking good. You going to the loudest stadium? Yeah. I don't think that's gonna happen.
Okay. And Ms. Williams
remember, says I have Chiefs were my pick a few weeks ago when you first started doing the brackets. It was Chiefs and 49ers.
Yeah. Ms. Williams says she has nothing against the Rams team. Yeah, I mean, and truthfully, that's a whole lot of people's opinions and thought process. It's just the ownership. Kevin Demoff, Kroenke, that's it. The players, it ain't their fault. They just doing what they have to do because they're under contract. So it is what it is. But yeah, and I have Chiefs versus the Rams. But we shall see. We just hope that, like I said, it may not be to the exact same degree as the divisional round, but we still want that nice, compelling, entertaining conference championship games. So let's see what happens in the NFL this weekend. More football news. It was just announced yesterday that Sean Payton stepped down as head coach of the New Orleans Saints. And I was like, whoa. Now, he's saying he's not using that R word. He's going to take some time off. But it looks like, if you just think about it, it looks like it's all setting up down the road some way, somehow, that he may end up being the Cowboys head coach. I could be wrong, but it looks like it's heading down that way eventually, that he might be the Cowboys head coach. I was definitely shocked to hear, but maybe I shouldn't be because he doesn't have Drew Brees. Tell me. But Drew Brees and the quarterback situation is murky. Your best wide receiver, he may not play, Michael Thomas. So it's a mess in New Orleans. So I can see why he like, you know what, too much stress for me. I've been around this team for 15 some years. I'm gonna take me a break. But what's your thoughts on the whole Sean Payton thing?
I mean, he's one of those people you would expect. Like, look, your dynasty time frame. You know, if you can call it a dynasty of the best that it was, but you can call it like his time was with Drew Brees. Once he's paired with Drew Brees in New Orleans, they're a pair. They're an item. As soon as Drew Brees retires, Sean Payton needs to move on to something else. Because I mean, you know that the Saints aren't going to be the team that they were before. You know, and it's nothing against the other players, but like, you know, that's the end of that chapter. It's time to move on. So I mean, I wasn't shocked with that at all. You know.
Yeah, I mean, hey, people come, people go. He had a great ride, but you know, things happen. So,
but
with that, go ahead.
You know, I just thought about something though. You know, it is amazing to me that there's certain coaches, and this kind of goes between, you know, NFL, NBA, maybe MLB to a certain extent, but you know, when you have Drew Brees on your team, right? And this isn't anything against Sean Payton. I just want to show something. You have Drew Brees on your team, and you have pretty good teams. You know, one of the best offenses, you know, when Drew Brees was playing, it's like, okay, they're going to do something, right? Now, when they don't make the Super Bowl and they don't make the NFC Championship games, because during his time, besides the Super Bowl that they won, how many times did they make it to the championship game?
Oh man, one, two. I want to say what, maybe once or twice. No, but definitely twice because of the game against the. No, I'm sorry, they beat the Vikings going to the Super Bowl. Against the Rams, and then I'm trying to think. Oh, it was a different team also that they played against, but I can't recall who it was. I want to say it was twice. I could be wrong though.
So my point is, and again, nothing against Sean Payton, but can you imagine if, you know, remember when Herm Edwards was out there and the Bucks were winning, and it was like, you know, they were getting to the championship game against I believe it was the Rams at that time. Like, it was like, oh, they need to replace the coach. They need to replace the coach. He's been there the entire time, had Drew Brees as his coach, and never had a season where the owners were like, I think we should change. Think we should make a change.
Mm-hmm.
Just saying. I mean, let's see. They went to the championship game. I mean, they were the conference champions in 2009 because that's the only time they went to the Super Bowl. But I think that, you know, if he let's just say he's lucky and he's good, but he's lucky because if he would have been a few shades different, he would not. You know that Family Guy meme that always goes around.
Right.
He may have had some challenges, but you know, I expect that he'll wind up going to a different team. And weren't they talking about him going to Dallas a few years ago?
There were talks about it, but it never happened.
Yeah.
Never happened. Once again, this is your Wednesday night Sports Delight, the platform sports talk show. I am your boy Smoooth, along with
Tbone Funk.
We holding things down on this Wednesday. Shouts out to Bunny. Shouts out to Joe. Feel better. Get well to the whole household. Shouts out to Stan. This has been a great show so far. Hope y'all been enjoying it. Get them shares going. Get them likes going. Let's show love in the platform sports talk show. So speaking of like eras and everything, Sean Payton in his era with the Saints. So of course we saw this past weekend. Aaron Rodgers lost the Green Bay. Tom Brady lost with the Buccaneers. Is this the end of an era? Is it very possible that both guys may retire or choose a different team? Especially with Aaron Rodgers. Do you think his time is over with Green Bay?
I mean, that's the question like almost every year with him.
Sure.
I don't think he's going to retire. I think his time is probably done with Green Bay, but I'd be afraid of who he would go to. But he, as far as Tom Brady, why would he stick around? I mean, he probably should have left last year. He could have got the Peyton Manning send off,
right?
Unless he wants to go and do a tour, like Kobe, and announce his final season, and then play his last season off. But I mean, he could go now, or he could just want, he could just want the fanfare just to give the fans one last shot and give them a heads up. So, but yeah, I mean, Rodgers and Green Bay, it's one of those things where how productive have they really been? Yeah, they got a lot of flash. They get to some championship games here and there. They can make it to the playoffs, but they got 2 Super Bowls or 1 Super Bowl to show for him. Did he go to a second one, or just? I know he won 1, but did he even go to a second one?
No.
So, I mean, at this point, you pretty much got all the juice that you're gonna get out of that orange. You know what I mean? Like, I don't think there's much left to get.
And with Aaron Rodgers, Devontae Adams hasn't re-signed. His contract ended with Green Bay, and it may be hard to re-sign him. And if they don't have him, Rodgers really doesn't have any other reason to really stay in Green Bay outside of it just being Green Bay. And if he wants to be known as a one-team guy, but how many guys are you hearing now in any professional league that's staying with one team throughout their whole career nowadays? So I'll say watch out for a team like Denver Broncos. See about that. But I see his time with Green Bay is over. Tom Brady, I'm in the same boat as you. I personally feel that he stayed with he decided to play another year with Tampa Bay because of the win from last year when going all the way. And he just felt, and he may not say this publicly, not yet anyway, but I feel that he was so confident because he had the whole team coming back. He felt like, you know what? We got a great thing. I can't see us losing. And then, but look what happened.
He wasn't wrong. I mean, they could have, a couple plays could have went differently, and we could be having a whole different conversation about, hey, do we think Tom Brady's going to play for another 5 years or something? Because,
But then also you think about it, and this is what I'm going to lead to. He didn't expect what happened with Antonio Brown to happen like that to him either. He like, I'm Tom Brady. Now granted, he only played one game in New England when he was with New England, AB. But he felt that everything was so well with how he brought AB onto the team, how well AB performed. He was really banking on the availability of having AB. I think somebody else from the Buccaneers were hurt also. So a lot of things changed in regards to that offense, in regards to the whole team. But I really felt like he had like the big head, like, man, everything is perfect here. I'm free. I'm a different me. This squad, we just won a championship. I'm about to run it back. But now reality hit. AB want to act up. Rob Gronkowski, he's not too sure. It's not a guarantee that you get 100% like he did last year of his team back. So, and then his wife. So, hey, don't be surprised.
I could see him doing the tour because he seems like one of those people that it would seem like, not that he owes the fans or anything like that, but he seems like he would actually probably enjoy that, where he can go the season and get that appreciation from everybody. Let them know like, hey, I'm wrapping it up. I'm going to do my final tour here. Because I mean, again, they were the number two seed, right?
Right. If the Rams would have beat the 49ers, it would have been the number 3 or 4 seed. But oh well.
But I mean, it's not like he played and then just had an embarrassing season like the Brett Favre, right? Because Brett Favre went to the championship game with the Vikings the one year, and it was like they were real close, and he came back the next year, and I don't think they got anywhere close to that, right? Because they were in the championship game.
Then he went to the Jets.
No. He went to the Jets first. He ended in Minnesota.
Okay, my bad. Other way around.
Because he went to look, if you play with the Jets, you probably want to go somewhere else too. I can't.
Let's go. I can't do this.
But I mean, I think that I think that this could be a season where he doesn't put pressure on himself to feel like he would need to win. You know what I mean? Like, just do his victory lap. He's Tom Brady. He's earned it, to get that last season if he chooses to. I mean, if he wants to wrap it up. But I don't think that it's not about his ability. I mean, it would probably be based around like how the team is actually doing, like what the team keeps, what moves are made, and that'll probably determine how he does.
And speaking of lasting impacts to an organization, over this past weekend, which loss do you see will have a bigger effect on an organization after they lost this past weekend in the divisional round?
It'd be the Bucs if Tom Brady doesn't come back. Because I mean, all the other teams, like the Bills losing, like the Bills are going to be around, right? The Titans, I don't think that they have to worry about anything in that division, anytime soon. That's probably going to be their division to lose. The Packers, I mean, again, did you really expect them to win? I mean, I didn't. But I'd say that the Bucs would probably be, because again, before Tom got there, they weren't in the playoffs like this. So if he leaves, like they're going to be back where they were. I think that's going to be the biggest impact, because it's not like they're going to just be able to go get the number one quarterback in the draft because of where they are,
Yeah, and I mean, I 100% agree because before Tom Brady arrived, we all saw how struggling of organization that team organization was. Then when Tom Brady came along, it just changed the whole dynamic of the NFC South, of course, for that city, and of course they won a championship. So he just changed a whole lot. A lot of eyes were on Tampa Bay, but now with this loss, it could be a setback. It could have a lot of ripple effects to the organization.
Although I do have a question for you. Do you think that, I think that he's enjoyed his time in Tampa. Would you agree?
Yes, very much so.
And I wouldn't be surprised if he winds up getting that I just said his name earlier, John Elway type role, where he gets into upper management and becomes an executive with the team. I mean, who's going to talk about quarterbacks more than Tom Brady? You know what I mean? So I wouldn't be surprised.
I don't know. I don't know if he wants to take that route, because he saying to me that like once he's gone from the game, he really wants to really enjoy being a family guy. You know what I'm saying? And kind of step away. Maybe if it was like 3-4 years down the line, he may think of something like that. You know what I'm saying? So I definitely, will consider that as an option down the road. I know that he wants to definitely just be that chill, out the limelight kind of guy for a while and just enjoy being a family man. But, you never know.
Look at all of his peers. Look at Peyton Manning. Look at isn't Drew Brees is involved in broadcasting? Like, you got those people. You've heard the rumors about what was Peyton Manning before this year. It was, what's Peyton Manning going to do? I mean, how long has he been gone? Like about 3-4 years, like you said, right?
Right.
So yeah, I'm not saying immediately he's going to have a breather in there, but I could see him coming back to the Bucks organization in a larger capacity at some point. Not a coach, because I think that would kind of take away from what you're saying. But being an executive, I think he'd have more of a life, and they'd probably give him the flexibility. Plus, he'd be living in Florida. Yeah, I could see him doing that.
Yeah, it's very possible. Definitely can't put it past them. So, hope y'all been enjoying that football talk. I know, Ms. Williams, you have. And for others, hope that y'all are doing the same as well. Let's go ahead and switch it over to some baseball. So, yesterday, and this should be a very interesting conversation. And yes, he can be a family man. Anybody could be a family man in Florida, because Lord, just everything. Look at Tbone. Exactly. He's out there doing up in Orlando. So, but yes, right now, going to baseball real quick. Got to show love to David Ortiz, Big Poppy. He is now, yesterday, he has been elected as the new member of the MLB Hall of Fame in regards to, getting voted in. Not the Veterans Committee vote, but of course the baseball writers vote. So we definitely have to show him love. He definitely deserving for what he did on the field. The biggest issue, of course, Tbone, and look forward to this to your opinion on this. But you have guys like Barry Bonds, like Roger Clemens, who had 10 years of opportunity to be in the Hall of Fame, to get voted in. And out those 10 years, they have not reached that 75% threshold. So next year, they will now be on the ballot to get voted in. But then the very first ballot, David Ortiz got voted in. And the reason why this is so big is because all three of those guys have been linked some way, somehow to PEDs. And how is it possible for the game of baseball to not have probably the best hitter of all time, the all-time home run leader, home run king, in which that's probably one of the reasons why people are hating on him now. But how is it possible to have a guy like Barry Bonds and a guy like Roger Clemens, who has the most Cy Young awards in the game of baseball? How is it possible that these two guys are not in Cooperstown?
Because the writers hate those guys. that's why.
Bottom line.
I found it funny, by the way, and I know that you catch this. I found it funny that I brought David Ortiz up in that chat the day before he goes into the Hall of Fame talking about designated hitters.
Right.
But as far as Clemens and Bonds, like, nobody should be surprised. I mean, we knew what this was. And I think that the way that the writers and baseball purists probably want those asterisks next to Bonds and Clemens and Sosa, McGuire, all those guys, the Hall of Fame deserves one too, because it's like, look, the writers are clearly biased right now, and it's not about what happened on the field. It's not about the actual game. It's about biases that they have towards people of a certain era. They're not, you're just going to completely ignore. Like, imagine if you have a high school and they're like, okay, we have the class of 85, 95. Yeah, we don't talk about 2005, 2015. Baseball evolved in many different ways. You can argue for or against, steroids and everything like that. But nobody can take away from how successful it was.
Right.
And I mean, I don't remember, again, I wasn't following like what the baseball writers and a lot of baseball talk at the time. I don't know if they were exactly going through this kicking and screaming. Like, I don't remember too many baseball writers saying, you know what, this game has gone too far. I'm not going to cover this at all because of what's going on. They were probably covering it and they were profiting off of it too. So to say now, like, these guys, I mean, that era happened and it was a disgrace to baseball, but you wrote about it at the time. So, I mean, I just think that this is just one of those lines where I don't even know if they even necessarily feel like they're doing the right thing, more so that this is they dug that line in and that's just where they're at right now. So they did what they did. And, you know, I think that these last 10 Hall of Fame ballots probably deserve you know, some asterisks next to them too. The baseball writers, personal bias overrode the professionalism of what happened on the field.
And Miss Williams, that's the $1 million question right there.
Everybody. That's the answer. Everybody.
It's like
Daddy.
I saw a post on Twitter. Someone said the steroid era is better than the analytical era. And I totally agree, because without guys like McGwire, Sosa, Bonds, the game of baseball wouldn't have been as popular and would have came back from that terrible strike that happened back in 1995, I believe. Those guys brought the fans back. Now, of course, you know, PEDs was a thing, but at the same token, even before, we can't even measure when they exactly took PEDs, but still, those guys brought attention to the game of baseball. Those guys brought eyes. Those guys brought sponsorship. Those guys brought kids back to the game. Those guys were so instrumental to how baseball is right now. And for them to not include a Barry Bonds, to not include a guy like Roger Clemens, who were so critical to the game, regular season, postseason, whatever, the numbers bear it all. And then for it to go down because of baseball writers, pretty much guys who are in their fee-fees, as I love to say. They're in their fee-fees because of, well, maybe because Barry Bonds took Babe Ruth's record or Hank Aaron's record, because they don't like Bonds because of how he is off the field. You get the freaking Hall of Fame because of what you did on the field, their production. Even before Barry Bonds started looking like he was from a Marvel movie, he was still doing things.
That's what I was going to say. But I think you can measure when they started doing PEDs. You can measure Barry Bonds' jaw. It's changed a little bit. You know, is it 3 inches? Is it 3 inches? We're talking inch, 3
like
inches.
This to all of a sudden.
but I mean, yeah, to that point, like before even PEDs and all that stuff were even a real issue. Like if you take Barry Bonds, and I mean, we're relatively closely enough to the same age. Barry Bonds was one of those people who I had his baseball card before that was even a thing. Like before the steroids and stuff was even really talked about, to the point where, you know, even people who were like, he obviously took steroids, those people will say, yeah, no, he wasn't taking them at this time, and he was one of the best players at that time. So now it's just like, no, y'all just hate him. McGwire and now McGwire might be a different story because he was hanging out there with Jose Canseco. Who's to say when they started taking him? But again, I think that this is one of these things where when you're talking about, you know, certain, let's talk about performance enhancing drugs, like what people think they do versus what they actually do are two completely different things. Like, I feel like there's people within the general public that think like, hey, if you take a steroid, that you automatically become the best at whatever you can do, and you're bigger and strong. I say this while I have Hulk Hogan right behind me.
And the Macho Man.
Steroids.
Right.
But anyway, we're talking about, like, you know, it doesn't just make you like bigger, faster, stronger than everybody else and better. Like, you have to have a certain level of skill to be able to do whatever you're doing. And steroids gives you a chance to recover. And I don't even want to, you know, I'm not advocating for it either way. But my point is that like Barry Bonds was Barry Bonds before Barry Bonds ever took a steroid.
Right.
I mean, and here's the other thing, and this is one of those like Lance Armstrong type things, right? Lance Armstrong didn't take PEDs to get an advantage. Lance Armstrong took PEDs because everybody else was taking PEDs, so he did it to stay competitive. Right. So it's the same way with a lot of the people in baseball. It's like when you find out what other people are doing, it's like, well, I mean, I can hit the ball very well, but this guy can hit the ball very well too, and he's on steroids. Well, if I want to compete, I probably better do it too. And, you know, again, I think there's also that misconception of we as the people who don't take that type of stuff don't know the stuff that the doctors know. So, you know, yeah, you can obviously abuse things to a certain degree, but I think that the doctors that were giving it to them knew what they were doing. So I think this is one of those things almost like another drug that's out there in the public a lot that seems to be getting, you know, legalized a lot over the past so many years. It's one of those things where once people have it in their mind what this thing does, it's hard to get people to change their minds to the opposite view, you know?
Yeah, I totally agree, man. And once again, and this is another issue too with baseball, with this Hall of Fame voting period. That you talking about flawed? People talking about you know, overtime in football. No, what's worse is this process for the Hall of Fame. Having these old geezers who are in their feelings trying to decide who should be in the Hall of Fame. Once again, they're basing off of their personal feelings, or you even have some guys that doesn't even vote anybody in. That's terrible. You should not even be a part of the Baseball Writers Association if you can't even vote at least one person in. Remember when Ken Griffey went in? He should have been unanimous, and he wasn't.
It was like one
person. Yeah, one person was hating on him. Stupid.
Well, that's the rule.
That's in their feelings.
The rules should require you, if you're a voter, to at least vote for one person. So the rules should change for this Hall of Fame process.
Right. Change them rules up right now. Yeah. So that's flawed. I mean, it just really puts baseball. What should I say? Baseball continues to put themselves in a bad light because of how things are being done. You know, with the strike during this pandemic, it's already bad enough what people are going through. And you got to go through this whole strike thing. Can't get a deal going because everyone wants to have their own way, or, you know, can't put things together. And what's the word I'm trying to think of right now? Just pretty much trying to, you know, take this idea here and be like, okay, you know, let me ease off and bring this in, and let's try to make a deal and make things better for the game. No, I'm stuck in my way. Oh, you're gonna be stuck in your way. We can't meet halfway. No, you know, it's too much pride. You know, and that's not what sports is about. It's about togetherness. And people who have the money, people who runs the business, don't know what the hell they're doing anymore. They're losing touch in regards to the passion, to the pride of the game. And now with this flawed Hall of Fame system that's been going on for years now. I mean, things just need to get changed big time. Like you talked about these dome stadiums in football, how all of a sudden a shift occurred. A shift needs to occur in regards to a lot of these big corporations or big sports leagues in regards to how things being ran. A shift needs to happen because that's how you start losing fans, because they see everything being so disoriented and not together, and it's a mess.
I mean, the Baseball Hall of Fame is a good reflection of baseball as a sport, period. Were just talking about this a few weeks ago, as far as like, where's the stars? Can we make some stars, please? Like, you know, it's the same stuff, and, you know, the on the field, the historical, oh, you can't do this, you can't do that. If you do this, that's disrespecting the game. It's like, let the people play, let the people be entertained, and stop all the extracurricular gamesman rules of 1959 of what you can do and how the decorum of how you act as if you're a player.
Oh yeah, go ahead.
Oh, go ahead. What you were about to say.
No, I'm going to bring up her question. Why limit eligibility to 10 years after they retire? I mean, that's just the rule that baseball has.
Arbitrary. That's why it is. It there is no reason to do it. I mean, I guess to give a counter argument, I mean, I guess if you did that, you would there would be too many options to where it would be hard to get people to pick. You want to have a certain amount of focus on so many people, because even with that 10-year rule, it's a lot of people that's eligible at that time. Like, you know, there's certain people where it's, and they have another path to get in after that. It's just they can't get voted in the traditional way. There's another way for them to get in, but which probably is actually more likely, if I'm not mistaken. Like, they're more likely.
I'm sorry, but what's crazy about this is that Jim Edmonds, one of the greatest center fielders in the game of baseball, he was only on the ballot 1 year and has not been back on the ballot because he didn't have enough votes to continue on. You know what I'm saying? That's crazy. There is no way in hell a guy like Jim Edmonds should only have been on
this year.
Right, but at least he's been on there for 4 or 5 years now. Jim Edmonds only been on there one time, and that was it. So, like, he has to get voted in now by the Veterans Committee, and God knows
I don't think that's going to happen.
Exactly. So, I mean, that's a crime shame.
Yeah, and again, obviously, as a fan of the Cardinals here, obviously, I'm a supporter of Jim Edmonds and Scott Rowland, but I don't think that, because again, you're talking about a list of players at that point on the Veterans Committee, where that's almost an endless list of people at that point. Like, if he does, it'll probably be 50 years from now before he gets in there.
He'll be dead and gone.
Yeah. So, I mean, like, again, I know everybody can't get into a Hall of Fame, but I mean, and, you know, again, St. Louis is always disrespected, as we just talked about a couple segments ago. Always disrespected here in St. Louis. I mean, Mark McGwire kind of brought it on himself, but Jim Edmonds, not so much.
All right, so that was our baseball talk as of now. So this topic here should be pretty cool. If blank, a certain player, never had injury problems, he or she would have been blank. So I'm going to start off with mine. If you have more than one, hey, please feel free. This for the people. So let's go. And speaking of which, we have our third member of the platform Sports Talk Show. He's ready. Just came back from his rehearsal. He is here. He's back for the first time since the Super Show. Stan, what's going on with you, brother?
Man, tired as all get out. But, you know, I was listening to the show as I was driving before I got a phone call. So I might be a little blurred on the last 5 to 10 minutes. But I am here. I am here. That's all I got.
It's good to have you, brother, man. It's good to have you. Before we even continue on, I promoted this earlier because, you know, it's what I do. But with you seeing this, how does it make you feel? How excited are you for the Man Cave to begin in March, every last Wednesday of the month?
Well, first and foremost, I want to give a shout out to those that did it first. I want to shout out the ladies and their ladies' night. Definitely, I don't want to say shoes to fill because they've got their own shoes, but we've definitely got, you know, we've got our work cut out for us already. If anything, we're coming in like LeBron 3-1 in the series in 2016, not the year after where they, you know, in 2016. So we've got time. You know, it's a good group. It is a good group of guys, all that have been on the show before. All have different personalities, which is always beautiful. So, hey, Ms. Williams. It's always beautiful to have a organically meshing machine. So that's the goal that we'll be going for, and we will see you all in March.
Yeah, and as Tbone agreed, he was like, you know, how Andy Cohen be having certain shows on that network. He was like, "Smooth, you know what you was doing." I'm like, "Damn right."
Definitely knew what you were doing.
Show ain't started. We already. I'm sure Sadal at some point looked in that group chat and was like, "How many 75 messages already?
We just started.
We 2 months away.
We ain't even did a show. 75.
Right. It's already
and it's all introductory. Ain't that something?
Yeah, man. But I definitely look forward to seeing what y'all have to offer for the man cave, which once again is going to be the best man cave experience in everyone's lives, man. So I look forward to it. So you came in right at a perfect time, actually.
I know I did. I know what the topic is. I feel like I know what the topic is. And no, we don't have any problems. We're just gonna jump right into it. We ain't got no problems. Okay.
Well, now, so not that topic.
Oh, we not there yet. Okay.
Yeah. So not that one, but it is coming after this one right here.
We still ain't got no problems.
So once again, if Blank never had injury problems, he or she would have been blank. So I'll go ahead and start off mine. Once again, if you have a few guys or ladies, feel free. I'm gonna say Penny Hardaway. If Penny Hardaway never had injury problems, he probably would be regarded as one of the best point guards in the NBA ever. And definitely, I feel would have won a ring. What y'all think about that?
There's no argument here.
Can't argue with that at all.
All right, who up next?
I'll let you go, Stan. You just got here.
Yeah, I've got a few, but they're all in baseball. Of course, y'all know my first one. If Derrick Rose didn't do what he did, I feel like all of the after injuries wouldn't have happened. And B, I strongly believe that year, 2012, that would have been the year the Bulls won their 7th finals. That would have been it, because the Thunder weren't, they had the 3 names, but they were easily done in by LeBron and company. And in all honesty, that year, they really were kids, and the Bulls had the better team between the 3. Yeah, you got the big names, but the Bulls had the better team. And then my other one would be if Zion didn't get injured. Yeah, back in college, if he didn't have on them cheap Kyries, he definitely would have won Rookie of the Year his year. And probably would have got, I don't want to say extremely far, but Pelicans probably could have gotten the playoffs a couple times by now. Probably be first round exits both times, but they'll still get there.
And it's crazy because it's like he's kind of been like the forgotten man, especially with how great John Morant has been playing this season. My God.
Like, and while you brought that up, I'm glad you did. I just want to say this for everybody who has been engaging in that foolish conversation. Stop it. Yes, John Morant is playing amazingly, but he is nowhere near MVP season Derrick Rose. Let's just stop that right there. Let's just stop that right there. If they get to the playoffs, what seed is Memphis right now in the West? A seed that'll probably have to deal with one of these superpower West teams.
They are number 3 seed right now.
Oh, they are one of the superpower West teams. Okay. So all right.
They are the superpower.
They are the superpower West team. Okay. But yeah, yes, they're good, but there are 2 other teams in the West right now that are doing amazing things. And the way these playoffs are going, I don't know if there are going to be any changes. They might see each other in the second round, and at that point, they're out of there. Derrick Rose went all the way, and it came down to just sloppy play calling that series. I'll never forget it. And I just don't see the comparison. You can say that they are both great players, but I don't see the comparison. And also, while I'm on this topic, Kwame Brown need to shut the hell up.
Oh Lord, what he do now?
Oh, y'all didn't see what he said about John Morant? We gonna say that. Nope, we gonna talk about it right now. So he tried to. Well, he didn't try. He called John Morant a bust.
What?
That notice the air quotes. He called him a bust because he's saying that by standards he should be getting more attention than he is getting based off of the level of play that he's producing. So because he's not getting, or in Kwame's round, he's not getting the attention that he should, he's calling him a, quote, bust by their standards. He was like, by NBA standards. And I was like, a true bust calling a non-bust a bust. That's something. That is...
Ain't that about a bust?
That's the pot calling the kettle black and the kettle is white. Ain't that something? It makes no sense.
Well, I mean, that's like the Lions when they went 0-16. You know they were rooting for the Browns that year. When the Browns went, they were like, "Come on, come with us. You just one of us. You're just like us."
And
oh, man.
And Ms. Williams, you are referring to Rebecca Lobo. She was the great UConn center from her college years, and then she went to the Liberty, but only played, like you said, one season, and then that was it. She definitely would have been dominating like Lisa Leslie was back in the day. So Rebecca Lobo is who she's referring to in regards to that player who would have did some things. Tbone.
Mine, the first one I got is an obvious one, but I'm gonna say it anyway, and I'm gonna say something that can't be proven, so I'm gonna be right. Bo Jackson would have been a Super Bowl MVP and won a World Series in his in his lifetime if he wouldn't have got hurt.
Man,
now that okay, all right.
Because he was MVP the year that he got hurt in 1990, if I'm not mistaken. That was the same year. I don't know if it was the same season, but he may have gotten hurt at the start of the season or end of whatever it was. But he got hurt in, if I'm not mistaken, 1990. But he still played baseball after that, but he couldn't play football anymore. Imagine if he would have went from the Raiders to, let's say he would have went to the 49ers.
I wonder why you chose that team.
I mean, they were in LA, it's kind of around the corner, about a few hour drive, five hours away. But, I'm just saying, I'm thinking of teams that would have been, he wouldn't have went to Dallas, right? Emmitt Smith was already there.
Right.
49ers would have won a championship within a reasonable amount of time when he would have been there. So, I mean, he could have went to the 49ers. He could have went to, it was either 49ers.
The Rams. He could have went to the Rams.
The Rams would have been years off. He would have been well past the age of running back age by then. By that time, because I mean they had Jerome Bettis and didn't do anything before then.
So you brought up how Emmitt Smith was already in Dallas, but the reason why he was in Dallas is because the Cowboys traded a pick, and with Herschel Walker was a part of that trade.
Minnesota, right?
Yep. Let's see. Yep. It was in 1989. It was centered on sending running back Herschel Walker from the Cowboys to the Vikings.
It worked out for Dallas.
Sure did. What a time.
Yeah. Now here we
are.
Can
you imagine? But can you imagine if Emmitt Smith did all he did with the Vikings?
Man,
like that would have been extremely more difficult for Adrian Peterson.
Let's see. That would have been Warren Moon would have been the quarterback. No, wait. Did Warren Moon go there later? Warren Moon was with the Oilers at that time.
Yeah.
So Randall Cunningham didn't go there until later. I can't think of who their quarterback would have been, but in 1990 off the top of my head.
For the Vikings?
Yeah.
Let's see. I can find out real quick. Vikings
89,
quarterback
90.
and 1989. Let's see. See, it got Wade Wilson.
And there he is. So
Deadpool?
Wade Wilson was the quarterback. Herschel Walker was the running back. Let's see. Look at 1990 and see who they had there.
I'm sitting there.
Okay. So
sure Wade Wilson is Deadpool.
Rich Gannon was in 1990. Yep, Rich Gannon was the quarterback in 90, 91, and 92.
And then that's when they got Warren Moon after that.
No, after that it was Jim McMahon.
Huh.
Let's see. After that it was they got a whole list. Okay, yeah. So Warren Moon joined in 94 and 94 through 96.
And then Randall Cunningham came after that. Or maybe not immediately, but he came and then he was there for a couple seasons before Culpepper took over.
So Brad Johnson was in 97, and then 98 was Cunningham for 1 year. Then you had Jeff George, then you had Dante Culpepper.
Yeah.
So,
but yeah, those are the only reason I remember those years is because Randall Cunningham was there, if I'm not mistaken, with Chris Carter and Randy Moss first, and then that's when you first learned the name of Randy Moss. I was like, who is this guy? Look at he's fast. That boy's fast.
Man, I'll never forget that Thanksgiving Day game, Minnesota Vikings at Cowboys. And, usually those games kind of be like, but that game there, that was the coming out party for Randy Moss. It was like, okay, Dante Culpepper doing this every touchdown, and then Randy Moss. Oh my God, that was quite a team. But then that was around the same time in which like Robert Smith all of a sudden retired. Remember that?
Mm-hmm.
He just all of a sudden retired. I mean, he was one of the best running backs in the game. He just all of a sudden just said, you know what? I'm done.
Yeah.
Robert
Smith.
Yeah,
but looking at Bo Jackson, he only played football for 3 years. Techno Bowl should have just been Bo Jackson football before there was a Bo Jackson football. Just Techno Bowl was his game. Like, I mean, it's crazy just when you think about that. He played for 3 years. 3.
It's amazing. Any other players that come to mind?
I mean, I wouldn't call us a player, but a little slightly different genre here. But imagine if Stone Cold Steve Austin didn't get hurt in 1997 with Owen Hart.
Wow.
How much more of an impact would he probably would have been universally considered the greatest of all time, because he still would have had some years left. The reason why I think a lot of his stuff with the WWF gets overlooked at this point is because it was a few years, but it was like the best few years that anybody else had besides Hulk Hogan, So if he hadn't got hurt in 97, who knows how much longer he would have went and what else he would have done, and what other matches he could have had. Like there's people that he never wrestled where you're like, man, that could have been something. He could have made something out of some other people that in a lot better, than somebody else did after he stepped away.
Someone I'm thinking about now is Brandon Roy. Remember him from the Portland Trailblazers?
Well, since you're talking about Portland, go ahead and throw Greg Oden in
there. yeah. He definitely would have been a game changer. You know what? I think about how Embiid is. I'm not sure if Greg Oden would have been the same kind of similar style, but I kind of think about those two together. Embiid and Greg Oden. Impact guys who changed the game in regards to their position.
Yeah. Oh, I have another one. And this one's a little bit different, but what if Drew Bledsoe hadn't gotten hurt?
Woo! Shoot, same thing with Trent Green.
Exactly. But yeah, I mean, think about that. Since we were talking about Tom Brady earlier, like we might not know Tom like we know Tom, because
Right.
you know, again, I'm not saying that it was exclusively because of Bill Belichick, but imagine if they would have said, okay, well, we got this other guy. He can perform a little bit. We don't know what he can really do in games. And they traded him to Oakland or something like that, you know, during those years. Like, I don't think he would have been the same because he wouldn't have had those years with that coach in that system. Like,
Or those targets.
Yeah. Well, I mean, depends on where the targets may have been there, but the coach wouldn't have been.
Yeah, so those are some definitely those are definitely some good players right there that we have definitely named that if injuries just didn't get in the way. My Lord.
Derrick Rose would have been a 2-time MVP.
and you think he would have won at least
And a
one
finals
championship?
MVP.
All right, there you go.
They wouldn't have traded Jimmy Butler. Dear God, it's the trickle down that would. Oh, that just disappoints me. Dang. I just thought about it.
Would they have had Jimmy Butler?
Still one. Yeah, Jimmy Butler still would have got drafted by them. Because that year they still had. Who would have took him? Year he got drafted, they weren't that low in the seedings, or they didn't have that like top pick. I should say. The better you do, the lower pick you get, which you know that still doesn't make sense to me. But I guess, like, oh, you trash. All right, cool. We're gonna give you one of the best players.
Well, you want to even out things.
No excuses. Nah, man.
Well, again, like with Tampa Bay this year, like if Tom Brady retires, they're instantly at a disadvantage compared to everybody else. But you know, but then again, they went this far into the playoffs, so it's not like you know.
I saw some weird graphic saying that Aaron Rodgers is going to Pittsburgh, and I was like, absolutely not.
Why not?
Right. It's possible.
It's not like that's been a division rival or anything like that. And it's not like that even stops people these days.
It really doesn't. Y'all remember Julius Peppers?
Yep.
Hey, boy, he went from the Bears to the Packers, and oh my God.
Yeah, it happens.
You know that? Remember when Brett Favre did it first? He just did, the Vikings out of all teams.
Shoot.
Out of all teams?
If you think about it, Jim Edmonds, he played with the Cardinals, the Cubs, the Reds, and the Brewers.
I mean, okay, so he's an NL Central hero. That's what you call that. He's an NL Central. He's like the favorite cousin in the NL Central. He's in everybody's family. But the gag is he's not related to none of them.
But the Cardinals, that's it. So let's go ahead and shift over to NBA as we wind things down on your Wednesday night Sports Delight. Stan brought up earlier about his Bulls.
Before we do that, I know I missed it in the show. I just want to say, may the great Black Mamba continue to rest in peace.
Yeah.
And if he was alive, he would have ate that girl up on Twitter that said, just so y'all should know, the Lakers right now, as of today, are 24-24.
Right.
And she was like, hashtag Kobe Bryant. It's like, oh, no.
And they're currently in the 8th spot in the West.
Yeah.
Will they or won't they?
Will they or won't they what?
Make playoffs.
They'll make the play in. I'll give them that.
They'll go in. They'll go in, but I'm not confident in regards to them advancing for it all. It could be like last season.
They're gonna do what Golden State did. They're not gonna make it in. They're gonna get knocked out in the play in.
That was the first season that LeBron didn't make the finals in X amount of years. this could be the first year he doesn't actually make the playoffs. And
Well,
nothing can make me happy.
Let's see. Well, LeBron didn't make the playoffs his first 2 years in the league.
No, I'm talking about in the past few years. Like,
Okay.
he was in the finals like he's been in the finals every year since like 2010, except for
he's
like,
been in there from
Well,
2009. No, 2000
or
the
2010,
2000,
yeah,
2009, 2010 season. From
his
then
first year in Miami.
and then the year where they didn't make it in at all because he had got injured. His first year at LA.
Yeah, exactly.
That was the year?
Yep. His first year in LA because they were
okay, maybe that was when
that
that's
ass whooping on the Warriors, and then LeBron tore his nuts. Yeah, remember that? Well, excuse me, he had a groin injury. He tore his nuts.
Yeah, so that was the last time he made the playoffs. But like I said, I'm not confident right now in them advancing. Cause like let's say they do get in barely, they would have to face off against either Phoenix Suns, Warriors, and the Grizzlies, and they can't handle those teams right now.
I will tell you this: last Wednesday I got to visit the crypt and see the home team play because them wasn't the Lakers. That was just the home team. I don't know. Like seeing it in person, something is going on with Russell Westbrook, and it's scary. Like looking at it in person, it's something going on with his form. We were talking about it after the game. It was like, is his form altered because he's injured and playing through it? We don't know. But when the shot goes up, it curves.
It's terrible
for some reason. Yeah, it's not like when you look at it from a certain angle, when you get to watch the shot go up from behind the player, it's weird. It's a weird trajectory the ball takes. So it's definitely something that has to be done about it. LeBron is looking like a 19-year veteran as far as I don't care. I done put my time. He cares, but at the same time, when it got out of hand, or when it started to get out of hand, he was like, well, I'm just going to keep playing my game. I'm not going to
it's like, what else can he do when his supporting cast ain't doing nothing?
Exactly. He's saying, I'm not going to overexert myself.
Every year. It's
not every year. The Miami years, he had a great supporting cast.
No, but you know what? Because the last 2 years there, it was all, Dwayne Wade's not the same Dwayne Wade he was a few years ago. See, LeBron's dragging his whole team. Where's Chris Bosh? Oh, man. And remember, LeBron had that issue where he had those the cramps, which was probably my favorite NBA Finals of all time. But
dear Lord.
But you know what? This watching how this Lakers team is doing right now kind of reminds me of the 2003 Lakers. Because it's like, we're going to grab up all the all-stars that are around, and we're going to have this super team. They tried to do that, and remember, that didn't work out. Remember, it was
what Karl Malone on that team?
Karl Malone. Who else was it? Was it Gary Payton?
Correct.
And that's when everything fell apart. That was the year everything fell apart in LA.
It was Gary Payton. Lord have Gary Payton.
It's kind of like the Eagles.
Gary Payton.
The Eagles when they had Mike Vick and that was Mike Vick and Deshaun Jackson and somebody else. Recall they tried to have like a 3-man team with the Eagles.
Who was the quarterback before Mike Vick? There was wasn't he back up
Dante Cole
at one point that season?
Donovan McNabb.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
they were both on the same team at the same time.
Well, but that was circumstances because that was how he got back into the league because he had to be somebody's backup, and they basically took him in. And then they were like, we're gonna move you into the main room, Donovan. We're gonna ship you off to I can't remember which team he went to first. Was it Minnesota? I know he wound up in Minnesota. I can't remember if that was first. Washington?
I want to say it was Washington. But
I think
Washington. I feel like he went to the Redskins first.
He went there first, and then I think he went to Minnesota afterwards. Because Minnesota, I believe, it was the year he was like, a game can end in a tie? Really? Didn't know.
And to answer this part here from Ms. Williams, the issue is that you can't put Dwight Howard, Carmelo, DeAndre Jordan. You can't put them in superstar status no more. They don't have it. You know, if it was back in 2015 or 14, that's different.
That's another injury right there with Dwight Howard. If Dwight Howard hadn't got hurt, what could have been?
Yeah, and like you said, Tbone, and I thought initially before the season started that I was liking the idea of having these guys come together, because they're gonna be hungry and wanting to win. But at the same time, the game has changed and evolved so much they can't keep up.
The aging Avengers. That's what they are. The aging Avengers assemble.
Man, yeah, I mean, it's really showing. And you look at teams like Phoenix, Golden State, Memphis, Utah. I mean, you have your stars there, but then you have an influx of young talent, young guys, 2-3 years in the league that's being difference makers. That's what's keeping these teams afloat. You know what I'm saying? Even looking at the East, the Heat, they have a few young guys holding things down. The Bulls have a nice collection of young guys that's evolving.
Yes, we do. Yes, we do.
Look at what's his name? Ayo Dosunmu.
Ayo Dosunmu. You gonna put some respect in that young man.
I mean, you know what I'm saying? He's showing out. Yeah, so like I said, you have to have a nice influx of youth that can bring a different energy, and you having 4 or 5 guys that's like 35 plus years old, and you want them to still be prime guys and play prime minutes. It's not going to happen. It's not going to happen. But hey,
did you all hear LeBron's comments earlier after yesterday's game? I believe it was, or their last game, when they asked him about his workload. Is it too much?
So he said, he's been doing this since he was 18, 17 years old.
I was 18. He's saving franchises.
Right.
I'm like, damn. It's true, though. It's just the way he said it. I was 18, saving franchises.
True flex. Tbone, he ain't fazed by that, though.
So I want to bring this up while we're on NBA Talk. I saw this on Twitter, and Twitter likes to create madness.
Right.
And I saw it, and I was a little skeptic, seeing as the source is Ballsack Sports. So
I saw
it's a Philly-based
I
column.
saw it too.
And you saw it? Cool. So you know where I'm going. So they are trying to say that a big three is going to be forming in Philadelphia. The big three being Joel Embiid, Kawhi Leonard, and LeBron James. So I saw that, right? But then from an actual credible source with a blue check on all of their apps, I just don't remember if it was SportsCenter, ESPN, it was probably all of them. They are suggesting that James Harden will be the newest acquisition of Philadelphia in the offseason, and that they will finally find a location for Ben Simmons. And all I want to say is, if you're going to put Ben Simmons and Kyrie Irving on the same team, you can kiss your NBA championship dreams goodbye.
I mean, truthfully,
just kiss them gone.
Truthfully,
because Kyrie can't play in half the games. Kyrie will have some nerve to leave after what he'd have put the city of Brooklyn through.
I mean, but look what he did with Boston.
He played for them.
No players,
but he still left Boston, though.
I mean, he left Cleveland too. He always say he's not gonna leave, and he leaves. So we already know he's a liar. We just got to look past that.
So that just furthers my point.
No, like him leaving, it's like that's not. I don't worry about that. If he doesn't leave, I'll be surprised. Like if he stays with the team for more than 5 years, I'll be surprised.
But just to answer that though, I definitely agree with part B with the James Harden. Then the part A, I don't see LeBron and Embiid and Kawhi going to Philly at all. No.
I think all the moves are stupid, especially the one with Harden and Simmons. I was telling somebody on Twitter when I was talking about it. You've got Ben Simmons, who is just falls apart whenever he feels like it, and then you've got James Harden. Yeah, he'll get you in the postseason, but James Harden is a playoff popsicle. He's always frozen, always.
But he ain't had someone like Embiid though in the paint.
You know, it's crazy to me that these are even possibilities.
Yeah,
because Kawhi Leonard, how many teams has Kawhi Leonard been on in the past 5 years?
3.
Four.
What's the fourth one?
I mean, San Antonio, Toronto,
and Clippers. That's it. Oh, and Sacramento. Dear God, he got drafted by Sacramento. Jesus.
No, he didn't. No. He got drafted by the Pacers.
So how did he end up on the Kings? And it's too all right, cool. He'd have been a little bit everywhere.
But no, so actually, Stan, you are right. Kawhi has been on 3 different teams in the last 5 years. Like you said, it's been San Antonio, it's been the Raptors, and it's been the Clippers.
And then if there's an option for him there's a possibility he may go to another team. That's crazy to me.
It is.
And so these are the things that I complain about when it comes to like the NBA, you know, which is the reverse of like what you were talking about a few weeks ago with like college football. Like these players are go where the opportunities are. I don't think that the college players should be held to a higher standard than the professionals who do the same thing. Like you can't be a fan of any. I mean, I guess you can be a fan, but it's hard to be a fan of a team where you don't know what the roster is going to be in 2 to 5 years. You don't want to go buy that expensive jersey. Well, I'm saying you don't want to go, especially if you've been burned. Your situation's a little bit different. Derrick Rose got hurt and things went downhill. He left y'all with hope.
Oh no, I'm past that. We got burned in the Jimmy Butler situation because he turned into a super player. And who did we give him up to keep? Fred Hoiberg. Who exactly?
Yes, but my point is that you're talking about Chicago. Nobody is going to say, oh man, you should leave Chicago and go to a bigger market. Like that's not something that people are going to say, especially with the history that the Bulls have. But down here in Orlando, that's been my whole complaint. And that's why I'm not as big of a fan of, you know, all the free agent finagling and moves and stuff that everybody does, because there's too many factors that don't actually involve the money and the teams that are making players decide where to go. Like that's it. You have fans. That's the reason. I mean, again, I know that they're playing a game, but they're playing a game to get paid. The reason that they're getting paid is because people are watching the games. And, you know, you have a fan base here in Orlando, as an example, that they're not going to get invested in any superstars because it's happened twice where we have a superstar. This is the superstar that we had, and outside influence those people to go other places because it's Orlando. And imagine if you're in other places that are, you know, the side. Again, you can relate. Well, I guess you can relate to it to a degree in St. Louis, maybe with football, but you know about how like people will call St. Louis a dump, and that's the reason why people don't want to go there and stuff. I remember that conversation a few years ago, talking about crime.
Right.
I hadn't came back up too, but for different reasons. I'm pretty sure y'all already talked about that.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So, bottom line, you don't feel even with the injury to Lonzo Ball to now Caruso that the Bulls
and Derrick Jones Jr.
Yeah. So
and Zach LaVine.
You don't feel no worries, no cause for concern.
I do not, and let me tell you why. Brooklyn is playing like ass. Milwaukee is losing. I ain't worried. I ain't worried.
Let's see.
Brooklyn just got
Milwaukee.
beat by the trash Lakers yesterday. I ain't worried.
Milwaukee has a 3-game winning streak. Cleveland has a 2-game. Philadelphia has a 2-game winning streak.
So Milwaukee is already in top 3. If anything, we'll still be in that area of being able to contend without having to do the play-in. Because right now we're beating who are we just playing? The Raptors. If the game's not over by now, we had a lead up on the Raptors. I'm pretty sure that's the win. Where the wins aren't as comfortable as they were at one point, but the wins are wins.
Yeah.
I don't care how we get them. Wins are wins. Somebody tell Mike come back and do a 10-day. He owes that to the city.
and
he retired with the freaking Wizards.
The good thing is that the Bulls had such a great start to the season that they're able to have lapses in the season where they may lose 2 or 3 games, but still be right in the thick of things. So that's the importance of having a great start to your season.
We still need a dominant showing of we need an adequate amount of big men. That's been the issue this entire season. We've got Vooch holding it down. Thanks, Tbone. We've got Vooch holding it down, and then Patrick Williams, he's injured. If we get to the playoffs, hopefully he'll be rested up and ready to go in time. We just need more big men. I thought about DeMarcus Cousins. I'm not really sure about that, but he'd be a man to have. And then also, Miss Williams left a comment concerning James Harden looking sluggish and uninterested. Yeah, and dispirited. That's because he wants to get the hell out of Brooklyn. That when that report came out, I was like, dang.
And I was saying it for the longest time.
He wants to leave Brooklyn. And then Brooklyn is like, we're not dealing with none of that right now. We'll deal with that in the offseason. They blocking all trade requests. I'm like, we ain't dealing with that right now. Did you see when that came out?
Yeah. And I've been saying this. I've been saying this since the moment Kyrie did not want to come back on the team because he wasn't vaccinated. I knew it was going to cause a ripple effect. And look what's going on with James Harden. He is flat out not happy with the Kyrie situation.
I told y'all it wasn't going to work.
I've been saying that since last year. Like, this team won't win a ring because of too many problems on the team, and I guess COVID made things even worse. But yeah, it's not going to happen. And
I told you.
Let's see.
Before we had to wear masks when KD was injured, this ain't working.
Yeah, and what hard to say? He don't care about the weather, the taxes, how the team is playing. I don't think he likes Steve Nash and how he coaches. It's a whole lot of issues right now that Harden has. So it's just a matter of time until all that goes boom.
Harden is also having an issue in his own game because of this new rule. He's so used to charging in and trying to get that foul on you.
Yeah.
But now they're not calling that anymore. They're not calling that. So that's been a struggle of his as well.
So on a lighter note in regards to the NBA, something very cool was just announced yesterday for the Rising Stars. This is doing the NBA All-Star break. Usually it's like the Rising Stars where they have the rookies versus sophomores. But now, because of them celebrating the 75th year of the NBA, they're going to do a tournament bracket. So you're going to have 4 teams. You're going to have 4 7-player teams to complete in a mini tournament consisting of 3 games, each played to a final target score, like in the NBA All-Star game these last few years. It's been a target score. So the competition will consist of a race to 75 points in honor of the NBA's landmark 75th anniversary season. The semifinal games will be played to a target score of 50 points. So Team A versus Team B of 7 players on each team. They go to a target score of 50 points. Same thing with Team C and Team D. And then the final game. So the winner of game 1 and the winner of game 2 will battle it out for a target score of 25 points and that will be the winner. Now, the cool thing about this that's even better is not only will it be the rookies versus the sophomores, but they're going to also integrate the G League players as well. And that's where I thought, like, wow, that should be pretty interesting to have the G League Ignite players, guys who aren't in the league, to be able to be in the same court and be in this competition, in this tournament bracket during All-Star Weekend. What's your thoughts on this?
So maybe I'm looking way too deep into the mathematics of this. But if you got 2 games, right, where the target is 50 points, and then you got 1 game where the target is 75 points, wouldn't those 2 50-point games?
I
mean, 25 points.
Right,
my bad. 25 points. Either way, I know what I meant. I'm getting to it. Either way, so if you're playing 2 games to 50 points, but then the 1 game to 25 points.
No, it's a tournament. So there's 1 round is 50. The next games. Round is 2, isn't it? It's 4 teams.
No, it's 4 teams.
So
but
it's
a
2
total
rounds.
of 3 games. It's going to be team 1 and team 2, and then team 3 and team 4, and then the last game is the winner of.
No team is going to play more than 75 points.
Right.
No, so all right. So thank you. So the final target score of 50. So are both those 2 sets of games? Are they playing to 25? Or are they playing to 50? They're playing to 50.
Semifinal is 50. The final is 25.
Right.
So if you have 2 teams.
Yeah, Stan, you're thinking way too deep.
I'm looking too deep into this math because I'm like, you got 2 teams scoring 50, and then the next game you want to only score 25. Well, that's a total combination of 125 points scored.
Yes, but that's 2 different. You're talking about from 2 different timelines, though, because the first timeline of 50 and 50 merges together to where it's 25 is the final that you're going to see. So. Team A.
So they're merging
look, if Team A plays Team B,
cool.
They're going to get a total score of 50 points in that game. Team A is going to go to the finals. If Team C and Team D play each other, total score 50 points, they move on to the finals. Those 2 teams are going to be the teams that advance, and then they're going to be playing to a final score of 25 points. So it totals 75.
Right.
Okay.
What Team A and Team B does has nothing to do with Team C and Team D does till you get to the finals.
Right.
All right. Cool.
There's no accumulation of points from Team A and Team B versus Team C and Team D.
I'm like, because I don't know what it is with point accumulation now in the NBA. Yeah, but I'm getting sick of this.
I'm confused because a different reason.
Damn it.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay, so. Obviously, I mean, these are smaller amounts of points, but this is all. Where is this being played? Is it being played in an arena?
In Cleveland, the home of the All-Star game.
Okay, so if Team A goes out there, Team A and Team B go out there at, let's call it 6:00. They play for what? What's that going to take? About 45 minutes probably to get to that score. Then Team C and Team D go out and play for another 45 minutes. When's this next game taking place? The next day?
Nah. Everything being played the same day.
That's my point. Like, who?
You know what? I get what you're talking to, Tbone. This is making no sense. I was thinking that too. I was like, so this is going to take up the whole day? So this is going to be its own separate day? Because, we still got the Rising Stars challenge. No, not the other one. The skills challenge. You still got that? The dunk contest?
It seems like it would take the 3 hours.
The celebrity game, is that still a thing?
But they play that somewhere else, though, don't they? That's normally played like in a, I don't know. But I mean, it seems like
every event of the Rising Stars, the 3-point, the dunk, all in the same arena.
But
I will say this. Last year, last year's All-Star game, now granted because I know it was COVID, but last year's All-Star game, they had like the 3-point competition, I think, during halftime.
Makes sense. Can't have a performance.
Yeah.
But you think it's going to be the same this year?
I don't know
Because
yet.
clearly
I don't know.
they're a little more lenient with attendance.
Yeah, that part I don't know. But I'm pretty sure they thought about everything that you just said, Tbone. And I'm pretty sure they have a certain plan in place. So the game, teams won't wait, an hour to play again. Or maybe they do. Or you know what? Now think about it. Maybe they will do that. Maybe they'll do the team A versus team B, then team C versus team D, then do the 3-point competition.
That makes sense.
And then dunk competition. And then the last thing would be, something like that. It may not be all together.
Yeah.
I just need to see a solid schedule of all these events because
that seems like an injury happening, and not from the second team's playing, but from the first one because they done played, cool down, and then by the time they get back out there again, like now.
Yeah, but like I said, I'm
ain't gonna
I'm
be no
pretty
cool down
sure.
for the second team. Like
right, as I'm saying, that's why you got to have something in between, the second game as well, just to give both teams ample time to, rest and get ready, or maybe keep them hot and go. Let's go. Who knows? But it should be pretty. To me, it should be pretty exciting. I look forward to. I just love the way how the NBA comes up with different ideas to make the game that more appealing. Because I'm truthfully, I believe the last 2 All-Star games or 3 years now, whatever it's been since Kobe Bryant passed away, it's been incredible. The target score thing is made the game that more interesting. They're doing things to make people watch the game more. So just keep being innovative. That's the thing that we're asking for as fans. And I hope baseball can learn from that as well.
Smoooth, I guarantee you, within the next time that you are on this show, because I know next week is ladies' night, but the next time that you are on this show, the NBA will have announced some little cheesy, corny-ass thing between the All-Star game and this 75-year thing. And I don't know what it's going to be, but whatever it is, I guarantee you're going to have something to say about it. Because the NBA can't do a lot of things right in a row, right? Like something's got to happen.
I don't know, man. It seems like to me with Adam Silver, whatever he touches turns to gold. So we'll see. We shall definitely see. So our last topic before we are done is once again it's been an incredible night. The Platform Sports Talk Show. I'm your boy Smoooth along with
Tbone Funk.
And Stanton, baby.
There we go. Your Wednesday night Sports Delight. Thanks for tuning in. Thanks for the shares. Ms. Williams, you coming in with the comments. We appreciate it. Last thing, St. Louis is going to be the mecca of everything wrestling this weekend as the Royal Rumble
Saturday
comes to the America Center at the Dome. It's going to be a huge, huge night. Look forward to it. Tbone, what's some of the things that you're looking forward to in regards to this Royal Rumble?
Well, this is one of those times where I wish I could be in St. Louis. I actually probably would have went to the Royal Rumble this year. You can see it's Royal Rumble feature right behind me here. But you have Bobby Lashley against Brock Lesnar, that's a match that I think I've wanted to see for a while. I think a lot of people compared those two, and you see it, and I
Bobby
don't know. I was about to say, based on what they've been doing on TV, I think Bobby Lashley is going to win the WWE title.
I do too. I do too. And then I see Lesnar being like the 30th entrant in the Royal Rumble or something, and then win a title so he can face off against Reigns at WrestleMania.
If I had to predict, I would say Lesnar loses. This could go. See, this is what's good about this right now. This could go so many different ways, right? they could both lose their belts. Now, I don't think Reigns is going to lose it because of how many days he's had it. So once he loses it, it needs to be a big deal. But I could see Lesnar losing, getting in the Royal Rumble. Reigns stops him from winning the Royal Rumble. You know, he costs him the match, and then Lesnar gets in the Elimination Chamber and wins to go on and face Reigns at WrestleMania. So that way somebody else wins the Rumble, because their match doesn't really need a Royal Rumble winner, right? You can have somebody else win the Royal Rumble to face Bobby Lashley.
Right. And guess where they having the chamber match at this year?
Oh, well, you know, it's in that place that we, you know, it's in
the Amway Arena. Amway
Center. No. Far away from there.
In a land far away.
Far away from my country.
Oh, dear God.
Yeah. So it's going to be pretty hot card out there for the Elimination Chamber.
Where women wrestlers can't reveal their skin.
I don't know what Vince did, or where he screwed up to the point where he got to keep going over there. He probably owes somebody.
No, wait a minute, gotta? That's not a gotta. That's a get a lot of money. That's what that is.
Right.
No, I feel like that's a Vince.
I mean, man, you know what? That's one of those things that I know a lot of wrestling fans, you know, are very critical of, and I don't really have an opinion about it myself, but a lot of celebrities go over there and get a lot of money to go do the same thing that WWE does. So,
right.
I mean, they see an opportunity. They're a publicly traded company. If there's ways to make money, they're gonna make money. So, but yeah, I mean, but anyway, for the Rumble, I mean, you got Bobby Lashley against Brock Lesnar. You have Roman Reigns out there. He's facing Seth Rollins. I mean, that's obviously a match that's been seen, but you know, the Rumble, you got the two Rumble matches, I should say, because you got the men's and the women's Rumble, and you got some big names even being talked about for that women's Royal Rumble. You got some a lot of stuff happening for the men, so I think that this is a pretty good one to go to, and I think it'll be very interesting. I will be watching the Royal Rumble this weekend.
Can I? All right, so here's what I think is going to happen, and I only say that because we're approaching that time, you know, around the anniversary of, you know, Seth Rollins doing the most incredible thing ever and cashing in at WrestleMania. So Tbone, I like your prediction. I'm just gonna move some things around. I see Brock dropping the title to Bobby Lashley. I see that happening. I do not see Seth freaking Rollins beating Roman Reigns. But I see Seth Rollins in the Rumble instead of Brock Lesnar. Because the Brock Lesnar Roman Reigns situation, that's still, you know, with everything that happened at day one, I was reading all the articles and stuff. They're still gonna make that happen somehow. How? I don't know how they plan on setting it up, but it's happening. So I'm thinking that it be a triple threat match.
Oh God.
No, I don't see that.
I can see it, and I mean, think about it. If they reached back to bring up the Shield, right, and 1/3 of that company does, 1/3 of that faction doesn't even get mentioned in that company anymore. What's to make you think they won't? They mentioned who?
Mox.
John Mox.
Yep. Seth Rollins mentioned him this past Friday. He didn't say Dean Ambrose. He said Mox.
I still think he's popping up at the Royal Rumble too.
And what was that, 2 weeks ago? They had like a little clip of the Shield showing Dean Ambrose like.
I mean, if you want to sell this match, you're gonna sell what the most important part of their story would be. So yeah, it makes all the sense in the world.
Exactly. Keep that in mind. If you would like to sell this triple threat between Reigns, Lesnar, and Rollins, what better way than to bring up that WrestleMania?
Between Reigns, who and Rollins?
Lesnar.
That would be a very bad thing for them to do at WrestleMania.
we are talking about WWE. Let's remember.
But I mean, at WrestleMania, they tend not to mess things up like that. Like, it would be a bad idea because, again, not to say anything bad about Seth Rollins, but Brock Lesnar and Roman Reigns are at a whole nother level as far as interest. To illustrate that, that's why I watch the show. When I watch it, I pick it up to see what's happening with that. The other stuff is secondary if I stick around, but I mean, as far as Reigns and Lesnar, this whole story is about Paul Heyman. Bringing Seth Rollins into it muddies the whole story up, and it won't give you the satisfying payoff for a WrestleMania thing. So I don't see Seth Rollins being added into anything with that. I see Seth Rollins just being the temporary opponent for Royal Rumble. That's somebody credible that can be beat. Plus, he brought up that Roman Reigns has never beat him in a championship match, or one-on-one anyway. So this will be the time that Roman Reigns beats him one-on-one. So
right,
just that's all that is. Set him up to knock him down. Like how in the other company, if you're black, you're set up so you can get knocked down.
Damn.
Yeah. So it sounds like they are trying to possibly bring back Ronda Rousey, for this Royal Rumble too. Do you feel now? I know reports are saying that the Forbidden Door is not happening, but they said a whole lot of stuff and things still happen. Do you see a Forbidden Door situation happening? Of something big and surprising for this Sunday? I'm sorry, this Saturday, Tbone.
No, not really. I mean, They have enough as far as first just to level expectations. If somebody who is not currently employed with WWE comes and is in the Royal Rumble, it would be somebody who has been in the WWE before and is somebody who is not going to be big enough to take attention off of the main people and stories that's going on right now, right? So I'd see somebody like I'm not saying this person exactly, but let's say like Heath Slater or somebody like that that's in Impact. Like, hey, Heath, come get a payday real quick. Talk about your kids and get thrown out. But nobody of significance. Like people talked about Moose from Impact. Like they're not going to bring him in. He's never been there before. You're going to shine a spotlight on this guy that you're not employing. Like, no, they're not going to bring him in for that. Mickey James is more of probably like a make good.
Right.
But, and deservedly so based on what happened with her. And I mean, I know that they're thin on like the women's side of things, but if you looked at all the women's Royal Rumbles that they've had in the past, they always bring in women who aren't typically there to fill that out because you want the biggest names possible. I think Trish has been in 2 of the Royal Rumbles that they've had so far. Lita was in 1. They bring in names. Shouts out to Jillian Hall. Appreciate you for everything you did before.
Oh dear God.
What? Hey, look, Jillian Hall is a great person. Great person. I'll never say a bad thing about her in life.
I mean, person, yes. Her character. I could have done that. At a certain point, I was like, okay.
I mean, look, you can say what you want about different characters, but just saying, happy to see people get opportunities to show their faces, stuff like that again. Heard there's some other people who might be showing up. Shouts out to you You people out there who may be in the Royal Rumble, if you're out there,
People.
you people, shouts out to all those people
now-
flying out to St. Louis.
Now, one thing I will
Michelle
say
McCool.
that I
That'd be
like-
nice to see.
Yeah, she's already going to be in there for what I was told. Well, not told, but for what I was saying. But one thing I will say over the last few years about the Royal Rumble, I'm glad that they've gotten away from constantly having like these old geezers, has-beens coming in. They've been having more of an influx of like NXT. Now, on the men's side, not as much as the women, but I hope that they do incorporate more, NXT stars into these matches just to get them in there. Except for, not going back to how they were years back where they brought in, Doink the Clown and all kind of, weird, stupid things. So I do like that, how they've been doing things better in regards to the actual people, the entrants going to the match.
But then keep in mind the old people that they were bringing in are even older now, and
Right.
And the new old people ain't ready yet. The new old people ain't ready. They still wrestling.
Carlito was in there. I think it was last year or the year before. Like, I don't really.
He looked great though.
He's not new old. When I say new old, I'm talking like.
But wait though. But when if you're talking about 7-8 years ago, they were bringing in older people in the Rumble. Carlito is the 7 or 8 years ago of that time. Now, I mean, Carlito ain't been in the WWE in like 7-8 years.
No, what I'm saying, when he left, he was still, I don't want to say young, but he wasn't like, when you come back, like Diesel old when he came back.
Well, no, but here's the thing. Old is a relative definition. Like, if you would have been saying old, if you remember, like in the mid 90s with WWF, they were doing all the Scheme Gene stuff, talking about these guys being old and over the hill, but those guys were also old and over the hill and kicking their butts on TV. And they were old, and they were in their mid 40s. AJ Styles is in his mid 40s right now. Like, the bar of old, it's similar to other sports too, right? Like, Tom Brady would have been old 10 years ago if he would have been playing, but now it's like, oh, well, he's pushing boundaries. LeBron James is getting up there as far as what would have been old for most people, But again, nutrition, the way that people learn how to work out, they're not doing different things. Like, I don't think a lot of those guys were old, like as you would say. They just, once you're off TV, people perceive you as old, but that doesn't actually mean they're really old. Like, people be happy if Sting would have showed up right this year.
Like that's the kind of group that I'm talking about. All I'm gonna say is if I hear Sexy Boy, I'm not gonna be surprised.
I would be.
I wouldn't be like, oh my God. I'd be like, well,
I think he got talked into it once, and I don't think he wants to do it again.
So, like, pretty much, Dan, if you heard if Bret the Hitman Hart came out, you'd be like, yeah, I don't want to see that.
No. That's too old. That's too old. I'm talking like I would use, okay, if he didn't have that heart condition, I'd use Triple H as an example. Like someone in his category. But he, like one of his peers.
Got you.
So you're
that like
50 and up.
If the neck injury.
So you're saying 50 and up? That's what.
Yes, 50 and up. Smooth jumped all the way over to wherever Bret the Hitman and Hart is. Like I don't think his doctors would allow him to even entertain it.
But what 50 is 50, what 50 is too old 50 though? Because 50, R-Truth is 50 plus. Bobby Lashley's not far away.
So pretty much we can't really say it off of the age. It is more so, do you still look elite enough?
Or what era
in that ring?
I think some of these guys that you're talking about fall into and this will be the third time we bring this analogy up, to the dome, right? That dome was built in a certain time and people placed it in a certain time, and they don't want to see that dome now. But that doesn't necessarily mean that the dome is really old, and it doesn't necessarily mean that they're old, but you associate it with a different time because people do so many different things now that they weren't doing back when that dome was built. I just flipped that analogy all around.
I'm sitting here I'm sitting here, right? I'm like,
I weaved it
I'm focused on the
in.
wrong thing. I'm like,
He
which
did.
dome is he talking about?
Shoot.
Because I'm focused on the wrong thing.
Tbone, he was bobbing and weaving.
But
I was like,
I mean, because if
I was there at the beginning, and then I'm like,
well, I'm just saying, like, you know, if it's somebody from the, let's call it the Attitude Era, right? People are at this stage are like, yeah, you're old. But if you're like from 5 years later, you're like, oh, Carlito.
But the whole thing is like Carlito, even though he is older and from the era, he didn't look like he was having a hard time walking to the stage or run to the stage. You got certain guys who they might pass out if they do one little run or jog. Those are the kind of people we don't want to see in the ring.
Yeah, I just don't think that they've really done that too much in the Rumble, though. I mean, I can't really think of anybody who they've really done that with.
I mean, not recently in the last couple of years. That's why I was saying I've seen the change in regards to who they have in the ring compared to, you know,
like when you say Doink, it's not the real Doink that was playing Doink because he's dead. It was somebody that they dressed up as Doink to do that.
No, you know, that was just an example. You know, I wasn't saying the exact person.
I just didn't think. I mean, I remember when they brought out Scotty Too Hotty a few years ago. I was like, eh. But I mean, it wasn't anything wrong with it, and the crowd liked it. So I don't know.
Yeah. But overall, it should be a great weekend. And speaking of great, once again, this has been a great show. Your Wednesday night Sports Delight. Stan came on in the last hour and came through and held it down. Once again, Stan, good to have you. Always good to have you on the show, man. And definitely look forward to
let's go Bulls.
What you and Tbone and others are going to bring for the platform sports talk show in regards to the man cave. With that being said, let me go ahead and do one more promo. So you already know next week, the ladies are back every first Wednesday of the month. Sharita, Bunny, Joe, and Annie. Prayers up to Joe and the Bovacani household. Then, of course, in March, every last Wednesday of the month, you already know now, Sadal's back, Tbone, Richard Cash. Boy, when he come on the show, you already know, Stan.
Oh, yeah. You trust and believe you already know. We handling business. First episode. Boy, we handling business. We handling business.
And then BT, Brian Turner, Brendan, Bovacanti, Joe's husband, going to be on. And, of course, Stan, baby, holding things down as the host. So big things happening for the Man Cave on the Platform Sports Talk Show. Fellas, thank you very much for joining me today on this show. It's been fun. Hope y'all have a great rest of y'all week. Everyone else, is the Platform Sports Talk Show, once again, of course, Wednesday night Sports Delight. Make sure y'all continue to like, follow, share on social media. As soon as the stream is over with, it'll be archived on Facebook, on Twitter, and probably about a good hour or so, it'll be on Roku as well, and of course YouTube too. So make sure y'all subscribe on YouTube. Click on that
bell
because anytime we go live,
you will be notified. I took a pause because I didn't know if Tbone was gonna hop in. I was waiting.
Not yet. That'll be for y'all man cave.
All right. I didn't want to just jump in. I was like, yeah, okay.
But yeah, so once again, get ready for ladies' night. Next Wednesday, it goes down. I am your boy Smooth, along with.
I'll take a Tbone.
And Stan, baby, the one and only.
Platform Sports Talk Show. When it's about sports, it becomes our business. And Stan,
I was so waiting. And business just picked up.
There we go. Y'all have a great night, y'all. We out. Right. We out. Ba-da-da-da-da-da.